was 88 degrees 24 hours ago when we opened things up. Just a little bit colder. I will say that they have so far gotten this right. So be careful out there. The roads really, I don't want to jinx this, but it's not the roads you've got to worry about, as you know. It is instead your fellow drivers. Of course, it's never you, it's always the other guy. At least that's what I always tell myself. But it is it's interesting out there. It's been a while since we've driven in this in the greater Denver and Decay area, so please do use caution. Never want to be your mother, never want to be a nagging relative, but just a reminder, if you don't have the automatic headlights, it may, if you so choose, just be a pretty good time to put the headlights on if you are driving around and they are not on. Just make yourself a little bit more visible, because I was out probably, I don't know, I drove less than probably 20 miles today total, but there are some kooks out there, much like the United States government. But anyhow, it is a pleasure to have you with us. I hope you, if you can, you get home wherever you feel safest and snuggle up and get some cocoa, a heavy blanket, and join us until 7 o'clock tonight. Another great show ahead. We're going to kind of do a rewind of a call that I will not soon forget. If you were with us late in the 5 o'clock hour last evening, and I would say a pretty good chunk, almost 2 segments in our final hour last evening, Matt has put together kind of not really a compilation, but a string of minutes from one of our listeners, a first-time caller last night, identified herself as Mary from Wyoming. And I don't mean to infer that that wasn't her name and she wasn't in Wyoming. I didn't ask her, is that really your name? It didn't matter. I don't care what her name was. She called after we were talking about yesterday what is still in the news today, and that is the soon-to-be strictest anti-abortion law anywhere in the country, and that will be in the state of Oklahoma. And Mary called, and we would learn that at 19, she had her first abortion in the 1960s before Roe. And throughout, we would also then come to find out she had not only had one abortion, but 2, but not just 2, not 3, but 4. And she was pro-choice back then. And if by chance you are hearing this for the first time, I would just urge you, look, I'm not going to convince you of the way to feel. If you feel, and I mentioned this a few times last evening, if you feel that someone like Mary, who has had 4 abortions, she's now in her mid to upper 70s, if you feel that most certainly the way you kind of perceive things, that someone like Mary, when Mary dies, she will in fact go to hell. I am not going to convince you that she's not, or that she is or she isn't. But that's really not the point. But all I wanted to make you aware of, and we'll get to it coming up certainly this hour, is number one, it takes a lot of guts to call in a radio program and share such intimate detail and such personal hell that she went through. And before you say, yeah, well, what about her potential children that she did not allow to come into the world? I would just say, especially if you have not heard Mary's story yet, I hope you give her a chance. Not that I'm sticking up for Mary, because she, as you'll hear, was the type of caller and seems to be the type of woman. She doesn't need me to defend her. She doesn't need anyone to defend her. And she made me think. Probably a couple of times a month, I do utter this, and I never try to be a broken record, but I do my very, very best never to take the show home with me. As a sidebar, former Rockies manager Clint Hurdle would often say, and Clint and I were not buddy-buddy, but we were very friendly, and I spent a lot of time with him in various ways, shapes, and forms. And I remember he would always say, the Rockies shower well. And even though we're not a sports show, that sports analogy certainly fits for me in how I take this show home. It doesn't matter if it's a great show or a horrible show. and we've had some stinkers. Or maybe I should say that we've had some that are just so much better than others. That's the nature of doing 20 hours of live local talk radio every single week. But Clint Hurdle's analogy of the Rocky shower well, it didn't matter if they got shelled 14-2 the next day. He said we were ready to take on that next day. And I say a lot that I don't take the job home with me, but there are times that I certainly can't help but think about it. And last night was one of them because of Mary's phone call. Now, I was not obsessed about it. I did not lose any sleep over it, but I hope I've set it up enough where you want to hear the story of one of our listeners calling for the first time. And maybe for those of you that were watching on our live simulcast on our YouTube channel, when she said some of the things that she did yesterday, I mean, I think both Matt and I had our eyes kind of like bugging out, like, what? And it all, of course, is hooked. And the peg is that yesterday, I think on a 73-16 vote, the Oklahoma State Legislature passed what will become, with Governor Stitt's signature, the nation's most restrictive anti-abortion bill, basically saying life begins at conception. Yes, of course, there are exceptions written into the bill as well. One of the things that I kind of urge you to maybe get ready for, you can pregame before a sporting event, kind of the tailgate portion of things. Maybe you just want to start, again, don't let it obsess your life, I would recommend, but have you at all yet thought of what this country may see over the next 60 to 90 days if the leak is accurate and if Roe is overturned next month? We read you in our 5 o'clock hour yesterday this memo from the Department of Homeland Security that our partners at CBS News got its hands on. And it is quite startling. Quite startling. Now, look, you know that it is not going to certainly be conservatives that say plot to kill a Supreme Court justice or bomb the Supreme Court. Conservatives aren't going to do that over this issue. I mean, people are people. They're crazy people on both sides, as we have talked about for probably the course of many years. But this Department of Homeland Security memo, this intelligence bulletin, is saying they have intelligence right now that there are plots to, in fact, kill Supreme Court justices, their clerks, and maybe to destroy the Supreme Court building itself. You saw what happened in Wisconsin with the Molotov cocktails, and in essence, if it ain't safe for the baby, it ain't safe for you, or something to that effect. These times are potentially, they're going to make summer of 2020 look like child's play. I want to just read, because I just was able to pull it up. The National Capital Region Threat Intelligence Consortium identified at least 25 violent threats on social media that were referred to partner agencies for further investigation. The intelligence memo also reads, some of these threats discussed burning down or storming the U.S. Supreme Court and murdering justices and their clerks, members of Congress, and lawful demonstrators. Before I read this in total, I'm thinking to myself, well, a couple of the headlines, who are we supposed to be afraid of? The right-wing whack job extremists or the left-wing whack job progressive extremists? And from this DHS memo, the Department of Homeland Security and its Office of Intelligence and Analysis, it sounds like they're planning for crazies on both sides. But back to, the little maybe pregame, I would just say, I'm not telling you to be a hoarder. You better go get batteries and a lot of water, stock up on MREs type thing. I'm just saying, I think there's a decent chance that, say, in 30, 60, 90 days on this program, we're going to be talking about perhaps some bad stuff if Roe is overturned. The Friday Homestretch Film Review on a lighter note, sponsored by Danny Cash, Danny Cash Hot Sauce, DannyCash.com, is in honor of the late actor Fred Ward, who passed away early last week. Hope you watched with us. You still have some time, about 6:40 as we head truly into the weekend and put a wrap on this show for today and our week. Tremors from 1990, kind of a cheesy, fun monster movie, I guess. And I did not realize also that this had such a franchise. I think there were like 6 different, between like a TV series and a bunch of movies. This was big. But we watched this week, hopefully you did with us, from 1990, the original. So we'll have clips, trivia, and more, sponsored by Danny Cash, Hot Sauce. And of course, they are at the River Point Shopping Center in Sheridan, which is near Santa Fe and Hamden. Barbecue sauce and hot sauce, of course, and merchandise and all-purpose seasoning, unique gift ideas. Check them out online, DannyCash.com. And thank Danny and his team for presenting the film on Monday and then sponsoring our review on Friday. Welcome again. As mentioned a few moments ago, our live simulcast streaming via the 710 KNUS YouTube channel. So thank you for, any idea how many we have right now, Matt? All one of you?
We got 8.
Oh, we got 8.
Start today.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yay. I'm giving 2 thumbs up. Thank you very much. You can do that. Of course, our website, 710knus.com/Steffan. Welcome to our potential global audience listening live stream wherever you are. You can also access via the app. The app lets you text the studio. Always get great texts in our 3 o'clock hour to start the program off right. Before we get into, we'll take our break for traffic and weather, and then we're going to get into Mary's phone call from last night. And certainly, if you're hearing this for the first time, there's a decent chance that you might have a reaction. Whether you're thinking like a lot of texters did last night in our 6 o'clock hour, saying, "What a courageous woman to share this personal, intimate story." There were other texts that said, "I don't buy her story," and takes it the negative route. I'm not telling you there's any wrong text that would come in. I will say, don't take Mary out of context. And that may be hard for you when you're trying to stomach the fact that a woman who called this program admitted to having 4 abortions. But I think she does a very good job of saying, at least in her mind, perhaps why she went through the process like she did in this certain period of time in the 1960s. So we'll have that coming up on the other side of our break. I do want to say, and thank you, Matt, for pulling this. I did see that there was kerfuffle with Secret Service agents who were traveling ahead of the president. Because remember, right now, he's on his first trip to Asia as the president of the United States. So you're probably aware, I'm not trying to school you for those of you that know, but there are advanced teams that go and, okay, here's an evacuation route. Here's the nearest hospital. I mean, they've got it down to a science, right? But there are a lot of people, this just in, that are involved ahead of time when there is a presidential visit overseas. Pick a spot on the planet. I want to share a brief story with you of my run-in. I'm not kidding. I never thought actually I would share this story publicly. I'm not going to really name names, but my run-in with Secret Service at a pretty exclusive place in London in maybe 20 something. It was Barack Obama's Secret Service, and they were there ahead of time. And they got into some stuff, maybe not like this, this from our partners at CBS.
The Secret Service is calling it an off duty incident after sources tell CBS News one of the two got into a physical altercation with a local taxi driver on their way back from bar hopping Thursday night ahead of the president's arrival in Seoul. Police were called, but no one was detained or charged. The two were returned to the U.S. amid an investigation into their behavior in the suspected alcohol related incident.
Alcohol. Alcohol, just sometimes it seems to be the common denominator in some trouble. Well, by the way, again, those two Secret Service personnel, they are now on administrative leave and they've been sent home. They are, in fact, representing you and me, right? So I am in London and I had come to become friends with, I think back in 2015. One of my friends, his name is Andy, and he is about the baddest ass I have ever met, and I have met a lot of badasses when it comes to the military. Andy was British Special Forces, was, I don't think I'm speaking too out of school. Andy was, how shall I say, infiltrated himself into the Taliban. Yeah, and he is basically as white as you and me, Matt. But when you're a stud and you can grow facial hair and all of that, you can blend in a lot of places. So Andy is currently a beefeater at the Tower of London. A beefeater, you've seen the gin bottle. Oh, aren't they they wear those little red suits? Well, yes, they do. But in order to be a beefeater, you must have minimum 20 years service in the British military. And then it is an incredible, arduous process to become a beefeater. In essence, and this goes back centuries, they're charged with protecting, well, the king, or in this case, the queen. And Andy, if you have ever heard of the Queen's Keys ceremony, it is really the oldest military tradition currently anywhere. It has been going on for centuries. And they lock up in a very incredible ceremony. They lock up the Tower of London. Now, the beefeaters live at the Tower of London. It's there have been more people, I think, in space than there have been beefeaters in the history of man. With that said, making friends with Andy, I have had the opportunity to see the Queen's Keys ceremony at least 4 times, and it is absolutely incredible. You should Google it sometime. National Geographic has done documentaries on it. I bring this up because they really call them, they're beefeaters, but they're called yeoman warders. And the yeoman warders have their own bar. And their own bar is really steeped in history, and it's just incredible. And I'm an Anglophile. I love all things like that. So we were able to go into the Yeoman Warders special little pub. Very cool. And who's in there, smashed out of their freaking gourds? Members of the United States Secret Service. Now, do they all of those drunk out of their minds, do they represent every single Secret Service agent, past, present, and future? Of course not. But I will say this as we get to our break, and then we'll have Mary's call on the other side. Let's just say over the course, and I was drinking, but I was not any more than, say, a solid buzz. I wasn't, I was certainly fine if I didn't drive, but I probably, at least I think I could have, but I didn't. It wasn't a factor. Put it this way. When they say loose lips sink ships, the things that these few Secret Service agents over continuous, I don't know how many they had each. The things they were telling me and my friends and my friend Andy, I'm just like, you can't be saying this stuff. I didn't do anything with it, but anyway, let's just say there have been some incidents around the world in my lifetime and yours with Secret Service agents, some of them who have enjoyed their beverages. And that is story time with Stephen Tubes. When we come back, Mary's call, just incredible. Stay with us. We are off and running, and thank you for the text here. My headlights are on. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Be safe out there. The snow continues. Winter storm warning until noon tomorrow in the Denver area. Be careful out there, and we do apologize. I do, that I jinxed it last week. It was all my fault. Stay with us. Mary's call coming up next.
An accident is still clearing on 70 westbound at Central Park. And even though the crash is gone on US 36 westbound at Pecos, still plan on some slowing leftover traffic from I-25 and a delay with a crash on Colorado at 9th. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by Discover. When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
It's springtime in the Rockies. Come and explore beautiful Carbon County, Wyoming. There's no better time of year to enjoy the natural mineral hot springs in Saratoga. Soak your bones in the healing waters of the Hobo Hot Pool. Free to the public and open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For information and directions, visit WyomingCarbonCounty.com or call 324-3020. Carbon County, Wyoming. Get your West on.
Get the inside scoop on weather happenings across the region with the Day Weather Podcast to get the inside story on what is really happening with weather patterns and climate across the Rockies and High Plains. It's not just a forecast, but also the nuts and bolts of what is going on with the weather and why. The Day Weather Podcast will give you insights on what drives our weather and climate without the hype and misrepresentation so common today. Find the Day Weather Podcast on iTunes, dayweather.com, and many other podcast platforms.
The fastest way to know what your home would sell for today is from the Ribble Group. Keller Williams DTC. Simply text your address to 800-763-3000. Don't call, just text your address to 800-763-3000.
Our workforce needs work. I'm Holly Robinson Peete. Join me, Delivering Jobs, and the Society for Human Resource Management in creating pathways to 1 million jobs for those with intellectual and developmental differences.
To learn more, please visit deliveringjobs.org.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles for our friends at the law offices of Dan Kaplis. They're a serious firm. For serious cases, they take righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis. Peace through strength. That's the philosophy. Dan Kaplis' law firm maximizes all the out-of-court settlements by proving they will go to trial with all barrels blazing if the insurance company doesn't pay all that it should as soon as it should. Dan has worked his entire professional life to build a world-class firm for the people. He has more than 38 years of high-level trial experience, unmatched track record, including 5 straight multi-million-dollar jury verdicts in the largest jury verdict against a trucking company in Colorado history. They're the law firm where the good people from all walks of life, without regard to ability to pay, receive the elite level of legal representation that the rich and powerful enjoy. If you need Danny's help, call him 303-907-5003. He did it for my family. 303-907-5003. Hit dancaplisLaw.com. It's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799 and I'll send you my free training. I promise I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99,799. Again, text FREE to 99,799.
Calling all gun collectors. The 56th annual Colorado Gun Collectors Gun Show is this weekend at the Colorado Springs Event Center. This is a gun collector's paradise with historic firearms exhibitors from every state in the union and several foreign countries. The Colorado Gun Collectors Gun Show has the largest selection of antique and modern collectible arms in the world. Classic firearm and gun show information at cgca.com. Buy your tickets at the door and don't miss this vintage gun collector show. Classic firearm and gun show information at cgca.com.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
A top official at DIA has been fired following an audit of the airport's parking system.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
For me to get pregnant with my uterus dropping down, that my doctor said he was the only person I know who could get pregnant off a toilet seat. But in my first time being out, in other words, I didn't have the luxury. I'm a minority woman. And the white women, they went to Switzerland. Their family would send them to Switzerland for an abortion. We low-income people and blue-collar women, we didn't have that luxury. So we're the ones that had the coat hanger abortions. And I don't think that when people are talking about it, that they understand how dangerous. I mean, when you went under that coat hanger, you didn't know if you were going to live or not. At that time, back in the 60s, I was a Democrat and pro-choice. Orphanages for Black kids. In other words, what were my options? Orphanages for Black kids were appalling. So there was no way that I would bring a child into the world and put them through that. There weren't options. I was a teenager when I got my first abortion.
How old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 19.
Was that, let me ask you this, Mary, was that, and please, again, I'm not trying to offend at all. What was that, and I hope you understand what I'm saying. Was that a tough decision? Was it an agonizing decision? Was it a decision that was, I don't know, only you would know, was it easier than you thought it would be? Can you kind of explain?
No, I was brought up Catholic school and had gone into convent for the first 6 months.
So it had to be agonizing.
I mean, after sex you were supposed to kill yourself. Remember that? You were raped, you died. Back in those days, that was the teaching. I mean, it wasn't just saying no. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't a rape, but I'm saying it was my first time out. I I look back and think I wanted to experiment. I wanted to find out what sex was. I didn't want to have a baby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You had mentioned back then, you said you were a Democrat and pro-choice. Is that the same today?
No, I'm more of what you were saying. I believe there should be a period of time, because back then we were also told, remember, that those were just a bunch of cells.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's been proven wrong. So in other words, that's one of the reasons on what I have changed on. And after experiencing that and knowing, I did my abortions the first trimester. I ended up having a child and this is an example of not knowing I was pregnant, thinking I had, et cetera. I went into the emergency room and I'm thinking I had a stomach ache or something. And they're telling me I'm pregnant. And I remember getting off of the table in that emergency room and squatting down because I had an IUD. I was taking birth control pills and I had used a condom and still got pregnant.
Wow.
So I'm saying I'm lucky when it comes to wanting, to have children. You know what I mean?
Well, I was going to say there are probably people even listening to us right now, and they're going, God, if I could only have half. And I'm not even being funny. So many people have so much difficulty in conceiving and having a baby and so forth. Again, we're talking with Mary. She is, and I understand this is the first time you've called, and I just really respect you for coming on the radio station and this program. I just got a text, and this is from one of our regular texters. It says, tell your caller there are conservative people who don't think ill will of people like you. Props to you as well. What kind of, if you're willing to go there with me, I'm wondering with an individual like you that has gone through three abortions and you have had a change of heart, over the decades, what kind of guilt, if any, exists in your mind?
You do. I mean, I'm closer to 80 than I am 70. And I guess I look back, I think about, I remember the movement in my belly. And back in those days, remember, because I wanted to talk about having the coat hanger.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was what people make it sound like it was easy for women to go through that. It was a terrible experience. I mean, first of all, the degradation of going into these sleazy motels. It was old. It was dirty.
Wait, so
nasty.
You're saying that's what you went through?
Yeah, I went through 3 abortions.
No, I know you said that, but I mean, we're talking these were performed not in a medical type setting.
No, that's what it was like back in those days before.
Were you scared? Were you scared of that aspect of it?
I knew I could die.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. You could have died in that room. Did you say this was a hotel room? Did you say it was a hotel?
No, it's a motel, sleazy motel. It wasn't Motel 6. It was on the airport row, on the grill. They were nasty. They were dark.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what the abortionist paid, to have the room, but I mean, they did not use high class or clean sheets or anything.
Mm.
I'm just trying to give the experience that people did not think that it was something that someone would intentionally want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I did it because I had no way to support a child. This was before you had welfare. In other words, if you did not have money, how were you going to put food on the table, a roof over there, et cetera? There was no, this is the 60s. This was before welfare came out.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was going to pay for diapers. And at that time, you used to use cloth diapers. You didn't have disposable diapers or...
I was a cloth. I was a cloth diaper baby.
I mean, it's a whole different era when all this was going on, when this legislation was coming on. That's why I'm calling.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people kind of wave this magic wand like, oh, it's just a matter, everything, there will be all these government services, et cetera. There wasn't anything like that at that point.
I was from our 6 o'clock hour last evening. We'll be back with part 2 just in case you missed that because it was later in the program and maybe an hour that you're not able to join us. Again, a reminder that every second, every minute of this program is podcast, and you can go back and listen for yourself if, of course, you choose via the app or the website. We do understand Mary is listening right now, and Mary, thank you again for yesterday. I will never forget your phone call. Mary did say to Matt off the air that after the second abortion, she did ask doctors to have her tubes tied. And what Mary told Matt off the air not too many minutes ago was that apparently, and I've never heard this, I'm not saying it's not true, but I've never heard this, you needed permission from the husband. And Mary's husband at the time was in Vietnam. We'll take a time out, Richard's News, and on the other side, part 2 of Mary and her phone call from last evening. Steffan Tubbs with you. Stay safe out there. Snowy. And we just got another text, by the way, Matt. This is your fault. We did jinx it, and I apologize. I will probably apologize until 7 o'clock tonight here on 710 KNUS.
News Talk 710. Update.
A top official at Denver International Airport has been fired following an audit of the airport's parking operation. The airport's chief operating officer fired Senior Vice President Winfred Hensley after an investigation into his department. He is accused of poor leadership and judgment, noting complaints of a toxic work environment in the parking and transportation department. He also faulted Hensley for failing to accept responsibility for a critical audit that found numerous problems with one of the airport's shuttle providers. Hensley had worked at the airport since 2006. With a cold snap bearing down on us, Metro residents are advised to protect patio plants and vegetables with sheets and frost cloth, as well as buckets and wastebaskets. Damage from frost is more likely if you live in a colder area or if you planted tropical plants such as tomatoes or peppers. Carry what you can to safety indoors. Most annual plants are susceptible to frost. Ukrainians are pushing back as Russia makes slow, incremental progress in parts of eastern Ukraine. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby was pressed on who controls what at this time, and he said that the situation is changing every day. The Pentagon confirmed another weapons shipment to Ukraine this week, costing around $100 million. This report is sponsored by Allstate. Looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today. Richard Robertson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Traffic is having a tough time right now if you're traveling right around Spear northbound at 11th Avenue. There is a collision through there. Coming away from DIA is a problem. Pena southbound just after Tower. Traffic's backed up from E470. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by News Nation.
A winter storm warning from 4 o'clock this afternoon through noon tomorrow. Then there's a freeze warning in effect for overnight tonight. Areas of rain and snow showers, chilly, highs only around 40, then falling to the upper 30s. Tonight, it's going to be all snow heavy at times. 4 to 8 inches of new snow possible with lingering areas of snow, rain, and thunder on Saturday, a high of only near 40. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day, 710 KNUS.
It's still the right time to get away to the Claremont Inn and Winery. Do you need a quiet getaway or something more adventurous for the weekend? Now is the perfect getaway time, and the Claremont Inn offers exactly what you need. Maybe a cooking class, a round of golf, or enjoy a murder mystery or an escape room challenge. Hands-on Saturday cooking classes are back and a perfect way to spend an afternoon. And you have options. Claremont kitchen classes specialize in grilling, making Italian pastas and sauces, and even how to create the perfect dinner party. Whether you're a kitchen pro wanting to finesse your skills or the dinner reservation specialist, you'll learn some chef's tips and tricks and enjoy a delightful afternoon in the Claremont kitchen. Stop dreaming and start packing for your getaway to the Claremont Inn and Winery, Colorado's hidden treasure. Learn more about finding a getaway package that's perfect for you at ClaremontGetaways.com. That's ClaremontGetaways.com or call 888-291-8910. That's 888-291-8910.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles here for my friend David Ellis in Cherry Creek. Now's the time to get a professional appraisal on all the valuables you have tucked away in your home. You could be sitting on a fortune in cash. David Ellis Jewelers pays top dollar for your diamonds, gold, sterling silver, wedding bands, and Rolex watches. You'll get instant cash on the spot. David offers confidential evaluations on precious metals, coins, silver sets, and estate sale jewelry and antique items. This trusted jeweler has been buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado for decades. No obligation, free appraisals, private and confidential. If you're looking to buy a gift for someone special in your life or yourself, the vast, expansive showroom, David Ellis Jewelers, look for the black awning, the corner of 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek. Explore online, davidellisjewelry.com. 6 days a week. Call my friend David Ellis, 303-322-8779, 303-322-8779, online, davidellisjewelry.com. 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek, you'll be glad you did.
Spring is finally here with all its big moments and happy days, and we're celebrating the road easier way. Come try our new seasonal menu additions at no extra charge, and bring your loved ones to honor your special life milestones. Celebrate spring and celebrate you at Rodizio Grill, the Brazilian Steakhouse, 18th and Wine Coop in Denver. Parking validation available.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
How long, how many weeks?
Would be the first trimester, the first 12 months. At the first time,
12 weeks, yeah.
I tried so many homemade solutions, castor oil, tried so many different, what they called remedies to get the baby to drop, you know what I mean, before doing coat hanger. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the crap
I hear you.
that you used to take.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That hopefully that would abort the baby by taking something, pills, liquids, etc.
And again, tell everybody how old you were.
I was 19.
And then your second, how old were you?
I'm sorry, the second. I don't remember exactly. I mean, it's all within before 22 years of age.
So 3 abortions by 22.
Right. And like I said, I wasn't using it as birth. I mean, that's what I always hated is hearing people say, oh, you use it as birth control. No, I wasn't using it as birth control. I was using whatever thing that they had. When birth control came out, I was using it. When IUD came out, I was using it. You know what I mean? When foam, unfortunately, some of the men I was working with, they didn't like condoms back in those days. There wasn't the support of using a condom when you were having sex. And people have a tendency to forget that.
Did you?
Different era.
Were you ever able to?
The hospitals at that time, remember, they did not have to treat you unless you had money. People have a tendency to forget a whole different era. In other words, if you did not have money, you did not go to the hospital back in those days.
Right. Were you able to ever tell any of your family or friends?
The older audience will know that that's true.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Were you ever able to share this with any family or friends, or did you keep it a secret?
No, it was a secret. My parents were strict Catholics. Are you kidding? And when I did have my child, my dad kicked me out of the house. You did not have a child out of wedlock.
And how old were you when you had your child?
I was 22.
So what was the difference? Why wasn't there a fourth abortion?
The fourth abortion that I had, I was the first when they had the legislation passed. The
1973.
I remember getting off the table and checking for those strings that hang down, and I still had them, and I was really PO'd because I shouldn't have been able to get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was told by Planned Parenthood. You know what I mean? So at any rate, and that was later on. That was after the fourth abortion I had 3, and I said all along, I had 3 that were with the coat hanger. The fourth one was under when the legislation had passed. Virginia Mason Hospital in Washington State was the first one to perform it, and I was the first patient.
And was that the final one?
That was the final one.
I just hope you know how appreciative I am from the perspective that not a lot of people have your guts to come and share such intimate detail, and especially on such a hot button topic for seemingly forever, but especially since the early 1970s. I really have to ask, I don't know how long, you're not going to hurt my feelings, I don't even need an answer, but I don't know how long you've known that this show is on, but I'm more I'm more curious as to how come like this was the evening that you said it was difficult, but you're like, you know what, I'm going to call. How come tonight?
Because of what this legislation is that they didn't allow for any time for a woman. I still believe the woman, it is their body. And they should, I'm like you in what you said, is that there should be the ability to have a time before they make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
This thing about going all the way until the baby's born is ridiculous.
Right.
That's wrong.
Right.
But there should be a period of time that a woman has the right to choose. It is her body, her life.
Right.
I feel,
go ahead.
When I say I'm pro-choice that way, but not that you can murder the baby. Remember at that time, birth control wasn't, how I want to say, as something you can depend upon.
No, I understand.
When it first came out, in other words, I was taking birth control. That was my first line of defense. I added spermicide. I added an IUD at the same time. I was on 3 different kinds of things to prevent getting pregnant.
I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, that is like, I mean, I don't know what doctors did tell you, but I mean, I've never heard that in my life.
I know, but
Yeah.
I couldn't be the only one. But birth control, remember, there was a lot when it first came out at that time. It wasn't guaranteed. And I'm just saying, I feel I was being responsible. I wasn't told that one of the reasons I was so susceptible to get pregnant until towards the end of my 20s. That's when I found out. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm saying, and there was a time in between. I told you about the 2 children.
Right.
One was when I had gotten married, so I did want a child. The second one it was past gestation, the first trimester. So I didn't abort. I had the child. I didn't do a late-in abortion. You know what I mean? I had the child.
Yeah.
I tried to be responsible.
What would you say? You know, let me ask you this, Mary, and you've been too kind. You've been on with us almost an hour, and I can't thank you enough for that. And I really, really hope this isn't your last call to the program. What would you say if you had, I just want to throw this out there hypothetically, Colorado and what we saw the governor sign earlier this year. If you had the governor's ear, if you had Jared Polis right in front of you and he's at a cocktail party, but he has to pay attention to Mary from Wyoming, what would you tell him?
Exactly personally what you said has been exactly what I would say. There needs to be a period of time. I think that, that should be determined by our legislators. I think the first trimester decision, because you can go 2 menstrual cycles without, being pregnant and not know.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to get, and then doing rape, incest, etc.
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
It should be what they called reasonable person decision. In other words, but you do not get to do late term.
Right.
Especially nowadays, you have the morning after pill. You have good birth control.
And to your point, and to your point that you have made, is there is a hell of a lot more options today. There's a hell of a lot more, how shall I say, educational material available, et cetera. And I just, hearing you and making the comparison, I think your call has been, personally to me, your call is invaluable, because you did have kind of this air of pump the brakes type thing. And I think that is exactly what we needed, especially on a day when Oklahoma did what it did.
And Steve, what I wanted to get across was it was a different era when that legislation was passed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People were dying. Women, in the backroom abortions, you died.
Well, what you have shared, Mary, is just as a God-fearing Christian soul, love my fellow man, men, women, of color, of being white, whatever. I feel for you and what you went through, and I am in your debt for making this phone call. Will you do me a favor? Can we end on a kind of a funny? Are you okay with that?
Definitely.
Okay, this is for you. This is what we do with as many as we can, our first-time callers. So, Matt, let's hit it. That's right. The trumpets for Mary, a first-time caller. And if I can make a request, would you call again?
Definitely. And thank you to your listeners. However they want to judge me is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I've accepted that, and I've accepted what I've done.
Thank you. You've given us a lot to think about, and I look forward to your next call, okay?
Okay, I just wanted people to know what it was like when that legislation was passed and why.
Yep.
The legislation, I think, should go to the states. I do agree with what the Supreme Court was saying, and and I just wanted to explain on the point of why the legislation was needed. Unless you were rich and you could afford to go to Switzerland, the rest of us were to the point that we could die.
That from our program last evening. Feel free on the other side of the newscast coming up to call in. You'll also know that we're going to be talking about Denver and Decay, and there's some crime. How bad? How many auto thefts? We'll talk about that as well. Stay safe out there. Turn your headlights on and keep it right here, 710 KNUS.
The Western Conservative Summit is one of the largest annual gatherings of conservatives in the Western United States. I'm Jeff Hunt. Join us June 3rd and 4th at the Gaylord Rockies Resort in Denver, Colorado.
This year's summit features former Trump press secretaries Kayleigh McEnany, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, and just added Betsy DeVos, Matt Walsh, and Tulsi Gabbard. Get tickets today at 710knus.com.
We'll see you at the summit.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles for our friends at the law offices of Dan Kaplis. They're a serious firm. For serious cases, they take righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis. Peace through strength. That's the philosophy. Dan Kaplis' law firm maximizes all the out-of-court settlements by proving they will go to trial with all barrels blazing if the insurance company doesn't pay all that it should as soon as it should. Dan has worked his entire professional life to build a world-class firm for the people. He has more than 38 years of high-level trial experience, unmatched track record, including 5 straight multi-million-dollar jury verdicts in the largest jury verdict against a trucking company in Colorado history. They're the law firm where the good people from all walks of life, without regard to ability to pay, receive the elite level of legal representation that the rich and powerful enjoy. If you need Danny's help, call him 303 303-907-5003. He did it for my family. 303-907-5003. Hit dancapluslaw.com. It's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com.
Right now, the real estate market is unbelievable. I've been through this with my own family. Home buyers have to go way above asking with cash offers to even be considered. So if you are relocating or need to buy a home before interest rates go up, contact Andrew and Todd at andrewandtodd.com. Their fast track approval can help you write offers with no loan contingency so you can compete with cash buyers. Andrew and Todd aren't brokers, they're bankers who handle your loan personally from start to finish, so they're always in your corner. Go to andrewandtodd.com. Don't use one of those woke banks like Citibank or Chase. Andrew and Todd at Sierra Pacific Mortgage share your values. I work with them and suggest that you do too. Get started now. Go to andrewandtodd.com. Just answer a couple of questions and get real home buying solutions, usually on their first call. Go to andrewandtodd.com, andrewandtodd.com.
It's easy and profitable to be kind to others when you enter the Kindness Challenge. Each day for 30 days, we'll post a new act of kindness that you can do for others. On June 1st, you could win $5,000. And a deserving organization will also receive $5,000 in your name. You can make a difference in others' lives when you enter the Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge is brought to you in part by The Garage in Inglewood and Parker, home of the KNUS $99 oil change.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station. News Talk 710, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Get tickets online at 710knus.com.
Slow-moving traffic in just about every direction with the rain and the snow mix coming down across the metro area. There is a collision, too. It's on Kipling right at West 44th Avenue and at Spear northbound at 11th Avenue. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. Watch Banfield weeknights at 8 Mountain on the fastest growing cable news network in America, News Nation. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us for your TV provider.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's 36 degrees, and with a snow-rain mix, we'll have the 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. The National Weather Service says the heaviest snow is expected to move in late today and continue into Saturday morning. Forecasters say snowfall totals will vary depending on your location. It could also cause things like broken tree branches and down power lines. The Biden administration cannot end Title 42 now that a federal judge has stayed his injunction against it being ended. McAllen, Texas Mayor Javier Villalobos said there would have been a tidal wave of border crossers if it was lifted today.
And then guess what happens in Central America and South America? People think, okay, we're in. And that's exactly what's going on.
Republicans and a handful of Democrats opposed lifting the order. Hillary Clinton agreed to share since debunked data on a link between Russia and Donald Trump in 2016. That bombshell testimony came today from her former campaign manager, Robbie Mook, in a trial involving a Clinton campaign lawyer accused of lying to the FBI. Mook said Clinton agreed to share the allegation with the press, even though the campaign hadn't verified the accuracy of the data at the time. Wall Street closed flat at the close. At S&P 500 briefly fell into bear territory. Stocks trimmed losses in late trading as recession fears continue to rattle the market. At the closing bell, the Dow gained 8 points to 31,261. The S&P added a fraction of a point. They added 39.01, and the NASDAQ lost 33 points to 11,354. Wake up with George Brockler, weekday mornings from 6 to 10, only on News Talk 710 KNUS.
A longtime newsman with an opinion, a proud dad, an American, supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
If you are, thank you very much. You heard, and thank you to Matt putting it together. What was almost, I want to say, 40 minutes of radio, a call that we took. The impetus for the discussion was yesterday, the Oklahoma State Legislature, in essence, sending to the governor's desk the nation's strictest anti-abortion measure. A couple of texts have come in, and thank you. We'll get to those in just a moment. Welcome to those of you. Hello, YouTube, 710 KNUS YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. And we simulcast now. So hopefully there's just one more option for you if you want to be a part of this show and hear what we are talking about. You can become involved if you have a reaction to Mary because of the nature of the timing. She called just before 6 o'clock last night. We kept her over for much of the 6 o'clock hour last evening, but because of the time on the clock and the computer's going to cut us off and we've got to end the show when we do, very few phone calls we were able to take. In fact, I'm not sure if we took any phone calls, a lot of social media and a lot of text messages, but we can continue to discuss that as you wish. And there's certainly many other topics to discuss, and we will. Our number, 303-696-1971. You can text the studio via the free-to-download app, the website, 710knus.com/Steffan. You can listen to commercial-free audio live stream. Well, I guess commercial break-free. How's that? And that would be on the podcast, the live streaming audio portion of it. Welcome wherever you are listening. You can access both of those ways to get to us, as well as those commercial break-free podcasts at the website or the app as well. Our phone number, once again, 303-696-1971. I want to get into a report that I think I saw today in the Denver Gazette about, over the last couple of years, auto theft. I would say there is a really good chance that a lot of you listening, well, sadly, you may have been the victim of car theft, or you certainly sure as hell know of somebody within your circle of family, friends, or coworkers that have had a vehicle stolen or a catalytic converter ripped off. And what I will share with you reminds me back in the day, more than 2 decades ago, overnighting with the Border Patrol in the San Diego sector. I've shared this story where you'd have the illegals come in and they would be apprehended and they would be processed. And I asked one of the Border Patrol bigwigs, so when are you going to see these folks again? And I remember, and I know I've shared this, he looked at me totally deadpan. He wasn't joking. He said, some of them probably later tonight. Well, that's basically the same with people with the lack of law and order in this greater Denver and Decay area. Oh, you stole a car? Well, thank you for not stealing 3. Here, sign here. We'll get into that in just a moment. A couple of texts came in relation to what Mary was talking about. This one, hello, Steffan, I'm about Mary's age. There definitely was welfare available in the 60s. I had friends of color and white who were single moms and who worked and took care of their children. Much of what Mary said is suspect based on my having lived through that era. I do feel sorry for Mary, mostly for a lot of bad choices. Thank you for that text. This one, brave woman. Thank you for having her. This description is what I remember what it was like for women when Roe v. Wade came along. As with everything else, it has taken on an ugly life and lost what it was intended for. I do not judge her. I get it. Thank you for those 2 texts. You can always feel free to text the studio. I realize that not every text gets on, but I certainly and most certainly say I have a very high batting average. I try to respond to 99.997%. Some of the ones that send hate, sometimes if I'm in the mood, you could just even ask Matt. If I'm in the mood to fight via text, I will. Sometimes I'm just like, go get bent. Especially on a Friday, friends. Coming up later this hour, as we have now become very accustomed to doing for you, we will take our audio look back at the sound of this week. Stories that made you laugh, maybe tear up, made you angry, that you reacted to with calls, texts, emails, social media. Our audio review of the week with a ton of sound. Always surprises me how much we go through and go over in our 20 hours together. So we'll have that coming up. Let's see. The president right now, before we get to phone calls, again, 303-696-1971. The president is not currently in the United States.
The president's first stop here in Asia was a Samsung semiconductor plant, similar to a facility the company is building in Texas. The goal? To reduce the allies' dependence on China for microchips.
This is the moment, in my view, to invest in one another, to deepen our business ties, to bring our people even closer together.
Mr. Biden also hopes to grow more regional support for a new economic framework that would replace the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That free trade deal died when then-President Trump pulled the U.S. out of it in 2017. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, with the president in Seoul.
Meanwhile, our tax dollars are not only going in the form of $40 billion in an aid package to Ukraine that was passed yesterday by the Senate. President's signature. I wonder if he does that on the road, or does he just make a big White House ceremony about it? You'll be happy to know that a couple of other dollars of the taxpayer bank account are being accessed. Right now, currently, I have no idea why. You tell me truly when we are seeing all-time high gas prices, empty store shelves, whether it's baby formula, where it's so bad the president needs to invoke the Defense Production Act. Let's see. There's a little thing called recession. There's inflation. Wall Street officially today, for at least a little bit, went into 100%, no doubt about it, absolute certainty, bear market. The Dow did come back. I still say don't check your 401k. The Dow was up nearly 9 points. Better than being down 900. The NASDAQ was down 34 points and the S&P 500 up a fraction, about 1/2 of a point. So you've got all this stuff going on. I don't know why the president had to do this right now. It's like, again, let's not. And I know both Republicans do it too. But how about the optics? Biden, and his buddy Barack Obama, they were big on optics. Well, what about the optics of this? Why? Why right now do you need to go to South Korea and Japan? No, seriously, why now? I understand that we have Peppermint Patty all of a sudden on the line with us. Jen Psaki, I know you're no longer I know you've got your woman of color. She's gay, LBTGQRXYZ plus exclamation point. Jen Psaki, why is your former boss, Joe Biden, right now on the road to Asia?
President Biden.
I don't think she has a good answer. But wait, as the kids say, there's more. You tell me why right now the first lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden, why does she right now need to be in Panama? Panama. Why is Jill Biden touring Latin America right now? Anybody? Stand by. Being told by CNN she's touting the U.S. commitment to South and Central America. I wish, without a lot of research, that Matt, you, and me, we could just go, how much right now? Just tell me a total, because there's got to be a budget, because there's a budget for everything. They may go under it. They likely will go over it. How much does a trip like this, that Doctor takes to Central America, how much money does it cost? I mean, you don't even wake up without assuming that it's in the 7 figures, correct? But you tell me right now why the First Lady needs to tout the U.S. commitment to South and Central America right now. While the old man's away, maybe the First Lady plays. No, I'm not accusing her of anything like that. I mean, if there is one love story that has captured the attention of the globe, it certainly would be Joe and Dr. Jill Biden, wouldn't it? Can't wait for the Hallmark Channel movie coming up after he is finally out of the White House. But I digress. In the meantime, it would seem like, you don't want to get her anywhere close to a United States border with another country. There aren't that many of them. In fact, I think there are only two. You would have Canada to the north and Mexico to the south. And since she was dubbed the border czar, you'd think that the vice president would be maybe going to, Latin America. Oh, wait, the critics say you are forgetting she was already there. Well, she did take one of those trips, but she never really went to the border now, did she? But you will be happy today to know that the cackler vice president was proud to announce as part of a Green New Deal, see who is in the back. Who's in the background of what the vice president did today? Well, there's Mayor Pete. There's Mayor Pete, the transportation secretary. Why? Because today the White House rolled out old Kamala Harris, and she announced a $500 million school bus rebate program to, what do you think? To get rid of diesel with what? Anybody? Hamster power, solar, wind, water. Could you imagine if they could have an engine that ran on water? Maybe go back to the steam days. Well, now the Biden administration, as part of the agenda that is underneath everything, the Green New Deal, Harris and the EPA, along with Mayor Pete, they announced that schools can apply now for $500 million in, what would we just call this, a rebate, to replace diesel school buses with zero-emission school buses. As part of their talking points, did you know there are approximately 500,000 or 500,000 school buses in the nation? And the $500 million represents 10% of the overall money appropriated to replace them. You've got the EPA. You've got Dad of the Year, Mayor Pete. You've got the cackler. So she's touting Green New Deal. He is doing God knows what. The vice president is worthless, but this is about right up her alley where maybe she's almost competent enough to do something like this. But you tell me why Dr. Jill, Doctor is down in Central America right now, and how much money is that? Now, it really doesn't matter. What are you going to do about it? Seriously. If it were, I don't know, we found out that this trip to Central America, no reports of any drunk Secret Service agents there, but that was not the case with the president. We'll talk about that a little bit later. What if it were $17 million? What are you going to do about it, right? Well, people like me can bitch about it on the radio, but it's just there seemingly is just such a disconnect. And to our trolls and spies and the internet rags that, listen to this show, and those people that write articles for internet rags that nobody reads. Yes, of course, I am sure Melania Trump went on the road as well. But I'm telling you, I sure as hell would rather have a first lady like Melania Trump that, for the most part, yes, she did the traditional things, but you know what? She pretty much, for the most part, maybe I'm speaking out of school. Maybe I'm the only one that feels this way. She kind of kept to herself, She, to me, was elegant, beautiful, all of that. And this administration, instead, you got to, Dr. Jill, she's shoved down your throat. It's just ridiculous. 303-696-1971. Let's get to phone lines. Mary's call last hour. Again, I was thrown for the loop that you were. Wait a minute. You started by saying you had 3 abortions. And then she announced that she actually had 4 abortions, and she grew up, or was he, late teens in the 60s, and Many of you heard her maybe last night, but we did last hour play a little bit more of her. Stephen Parker joins us. And Steve, thank you and good afternoon.
Oh, hello, Steffan.
Hi.
Yes. I'm beginning to wonder if, we're going backwards as far as the birth control versus abortion. I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, when I did a lot of dating, and when I talk about the 70s, it's pre-AIDS era. Women, all the women that I knew of and that I dated were on the birth control pills. In fact, it was so abundant that they just called it the pill. Are you on the pill? Yeah, I'm on the pill.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody used any protection because, again, it was pre-AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was promiscuous. Not one woman that I ever dated got pregnant. In fact, it was so effective that if you wanted to get pregnant, you had to go off the pill. Now, I looked up a study with the University of Washington in 2005 through 11, where they took 11,000 women and adolescents and gave them free birth control pills. So it was a 5-6 year study. They found that there was a drop in unwanted pregnancies and abortion from 64 to 75% drop. So my question is, isn't it better to prevent pregnancy than to stop pregnancy?
Oh, to me, there's that's absolutely. I mean, I would assume you agree with me. There's absolutely no question. But keep in mind, from what Mary had talked about, is she was told, I think her anecdote was a doctor told her she could get pregnant by sitting on a toilet seat. I didn't catch whether or not she was literally on the pill, but she said she used IUDs, and what else did she say? Spermicide, as well as had her partner use condoms. She still got pregnant. I didn't hear about whether she was on the
and
pill
how
or not.
rare would that be?
Well, it is,
I
but
could only translate all of this into terms of my own life.
No, I get it.
And when we were back then, all the women that I dated and most of them that I knew were on the pill. It was that popular and that effective, and there were really no adverse side effects.
So it worked for your purposes of your how shall I say, extracurricular life. It worked.
Yeah, it worked. No one got pregnant, and like I said, they had to get off of the pill if if a woman wanted to get pregnant. So, if I'm wondering if it's money. Is there just more money to be made in abortions than just passing out, and offering free birth control pills to women that are going to be sexually active?
Well, let's focus.
It all comes down to money, right?
Well, I mean, did and I'm not trying to be a jerk. Did you hear Mary's replay?
No, I didn't, because I only caught like the last 5 minutes of it when she was closing.
Okay, well, I'm gonna address that, and I appreciate the call, Steve, and thank you. Remember, and again, I'm not trying to rip on Steve. Appreciate the phone call, of course, but friends, we've got to. I'm not saying Steve was aggressive at all. I appreciate his story and sharing it. You can't just come in, and this is not scolding, but you can't just come in at like 3 minutes to go after we've played 20 minutes and think that you know everything about it. I'm not saying that's Steve, but you've got to hear it in total. That's one of the reasons why. And I realize how you come in and out of radio stations. I get that, but I can't say, oh, you haven't heard it? Well, let's replay it again. Remember what she said. She was trying to get across that it was the time, the period of U.S. history. She talked about the socioeconomic status. It was not, and I have a really solid feeling, especially because he said he only caught the last part. Steve didn't hear the fact that she said for Mary's abortions, at least 2 of them were literally at a seedy motel where she paid someone, a non-medical person, $50, and they literally used a coat hanger. So when you hear that in its full kind of as difficult as it is, I realize, friends, this is a very mature and heavy topic, not one that I want my kids when they were younger or even probably now to just overhear. But that had nothing to do with money. Well, sure, somebody wanted to make $50. Oh, you want me to do that? Sure. $50, CD, hotel. So when it comes to the money angle with Mary, at least, I don't think that that was any part of it. And it certainly wasn't, well, keep having kids. And, you know, Mary now has 14 kids, so to speak, because she wanted to suck off the government teat and get credit for every single kid. That wasn't her story, the way I understand it. Barbara joins us in Aurora. We've got traffic and a look at the weather coming up. Hello, Barbara.
Hey, Steffan. I'll be real quick. I've got several points, but I'll be quick with them. There's a lot of disadvantages to being old, but there's some advantages. And one of them is you know stuff because you live through it.
Yep.
And I think you are a very smart man, but I think old Mary, the victim, sucked you right in. And I will tell you why. Number one, her agony. She remembers that baby moving, but she had all her abortions in the first trimester. Well, you can feel babies move somewhere between 16 and 24 weeks. That's not the first trimester. There was no welfare. There was no food. We'd have starved. Franklin Delano Roosevelt started welfare in 1935. 1935. And in the 1960s, Lyndon Johnson's Great Society expanded welfare. And one of the problems there was that one of the criteria was that there not be a man in the house. And that was the beginning of the death of Black families because they were forced to separate in order to survive. But it sounds like Mary was a busy little lady and she had lots of men, none of them in the house. So I don't think that would have been an issue for her. So I think she's done a lot of rationalization. And, you know, she snuffed out the future of 3 babies and has made herself the total victim.
Barbara,
And
you know I always appreciate your phone call. I respectfully disagree that I was sucked in. I just want to make sure, because I respect your calls. There is a difference between me, say, being sucked in, and work with me quick on this example. I am so moved and quote unquote sucked in by Mary's whatever that I have Matt get her address and phone number, and I set up a meeting where I just cry over coffee with her and send her a bouquet of flowers. There's that kind of sucked in. There is also, in my line of work, there is also giving people the opportunity to tell their story. And just because, for example, you're not accusing me of this, but just because I am curious and ask questions, and maybe they are in maybe a non-aggressive way, that does not mean that I am buying everything, not just Mary, but buying everything hook, line, and sinker that anybody on this program that calls in is saying. But I also know how to do an interview. And if I am aggressive, or by the way, as a sidebar, I thought the same thing. Wait a minute. You just said you remembered, the baby moving. That ain't happening really in the first trimester. I agree with you on that. I also was not in the mood last night when someone is brave enough to come on and tell this intimate detail. And I do not think she's lying. To your point, maybe she has convinced herself of things. That's not for me to judge. Frankly, I don't think it's for you to judge, but everybody has their opinion. But don't lose sight of the fact that just because I conduct an interview in a certain way, that I am sucked in and enamored and all of that. Now, of course, I'm not even trying to be defensive, but I thought I would bring that up because I do value your phone calls and input.
Well, you know what? You took the time to think about it. And I think that's important. And I just care about you enough that I want you to think based on reality and the facts, not on...
Fair enough. You have a great weekend. I always appreciate your call, Barbara, and thank you. Stay safe out there. We've got to take a break. If you want to continue the conversation, 2 lines with your name on it, potentially 303-696-1971 on this snowy afternoon on freaking May 20th. Yes, I know I jinxed it last week. How about some nice comfort food? Doesn't like some broccoli cheese soup sound great, or maybe starting like I would if I were at one of the 9 local Black Eyed Pea restaurants in Colorado. Maybe start off with some banana pudding. Why? Life's too short. But Mom's Meatloaf, get it grilled. The grilled salmon, absolutely great at the Black Eyed Pea. Turkey and burgers and soups and salads and 30 sides, including mashed potatoes. You'll even see little bits of skin in them because they make them from scratch. Senior discounts, daily specials, first responder and military discounts as well. And you better save room for dessert, either the Mile High 1-pound chocolate cake or the banana pudding that is so delicious. If it's been a while, maybe you don't want to do the cooking tonight. Just maybe download the Black Eyed Pea app and order it, select pickup, and you can place your order without even having to call in. You'll stop by. Everything is piping hot, and you can enjoy it on this snowy late spring evening, or maybe lunch tomorrow. Lunch or dinner, the daily specials, as I mentioned. I love everything about the Black Eyed Pea. You will as well, especially if it's been a while. Let them do the cooking for you. Keep it here in Colorado and support our state's small business owners like Mom and Pop Steve and Michelle. All the details, and download the app wherever you get your apps. And of course, the website, blackeyedpeacolorado.com.
The freeway system is going to be tied up for the most part, a mixture of rain and snow coming all the way through the metro area, and also just west as you're coming out of the foothills in the high country. There is a collision at Kipling and West 44th Avenue. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. Watch Banfield weeknights at 8 Mountain on the fastest growing cable news network in America, News Nation. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us for your TV provider.
Welcome to me casa, Catherine.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is.
Oh my, is that a real Picasso?
No, don't touch it.
It's covering a hole in the drywall.
Yeah, my plumber repiped the house. I had leaks and low water pressure, but he doesn't fix drywall.
And behind this Van Gogh?
No, don't touch that.
Another hole.
Yeah.
Why didn't you call Repipe Specialists?
Repipe what?
Repipe Specialists. They can repipe your whole house in 1 or 2 days, so no more leaks or low water pressure. And then they'll offer to fix the hole so it's ready to paint. And for about half the price of a plumber.
Got leaks or low water pressure? Call Repipe Specialists. They'll repipe your whole house in 1 or 2 days with PEX tubing and then offer the option to complete the job by repairing the drywall.
Oh, frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ought to cover that hole with a Monet.
Call 303-228-2540 for a free in-home estimate and pay nothing down with no payments or interest for a year. That's 303-228-2540. Call today, 303-228-2540, or visit repipe.com.
J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling is your source for junk hauling, decluttering, demolition, cleanouts, and e-waste recycling. Whether it's clearing out an entire home, one room, or commercial space, J-Dog provides the best service at very competitive prices. Trust J-Dog to haul it out without you having to lift a thing. They are veteran-owned, operated, and hiring. Visit them at veteran-junkbizco.com. That's veteran-junkbizco.com.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
A judge is keeping Title 42 in place for the time being. We'll have details in the next news update.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Time this week that this Bruno Mars 24 karat magic has played on this program. I just want you to know, I think the guy's okay, but I ain't consistently saying, hello, Matt, is this thing on? Please play me more Bruno Mars. No, don't even play another song, just that one. Anyway, there are some old school radio people that probably, along with Marconi and Peter Boyles, would say, I'm doing the wrong thing. I don't buy that. Because I am, and hello, YouTube, I try to be real and honest and forthcoming. Like I was, what was that now, Matt? 9 days ago with the weather prediction. Do we start out by possibly jinxing it with the weather? Should, Matt, yes or no, should I? Should I say what I'm about to say? Potentially risking jinxing it.
My vote is always yes.
Okay, I love it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's May 11th. It's 89 degrees, starting the 5 p.m. Mountain Time hour. We can proclaim that we have seen the final, oh gosh, do I do it? The final snow of the season. Matt, next week it's going to be like 31 for a high and this snowy, slushy, melty mess.
Yeah, we'll know who to blame.
And many of you have. I kind of got the last part right, but anyhow, thank you. I love the gentle ribbing via our wall of love. Got to be approaching at least a dozen people saying this is, in fact, all your fault. Let's continue our phone calls, 303-696-1971. Stick with us if you are a fan. I hope you are, like we are, of bringing you our audio of the week. Well, not all, but there's just no time. But a lot of the stories, sound from the stories that absolutely we reacted to, I blabbed on about, I maybe got a little hot under the collar, and the same for you as well. We'll have that coming up before 5 o'clock. Gary in Denver joins us. Good afternoon to you, and thanks.
Oh, hi, Steffan. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I live in the Cheeseman Park area. Beautiful Denver. I still think it's pretty beautiful. And this snow has been one of the most beautiful that I've seen in a while. I mean, about an hour ago, the flakes were about an inch wide.
Oh, yeah, man. It's coming down where we are. They're huge flakes.
And they're just floating. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I got a chance to listen to your interview with that 80-year-old lady with all the abortions. And I had to leave a little bit early, but I wondered, did you ask her how she felt about the potential of the reversal of Roe versus Wade?
We touched on it, and basically she has gone, she said, from being pro-choice Democrat back in the 60s and maybe earlier in her life to now she is, I'm assuming she's changed party, but I don't want to assume, but she is now for the limited use. She's not anti-abortion now, but she basically says there needs to become a point where it's to a certain amount of weeks, and anything after that should not be allowed. That's pretty much a summary. She did say she's changed.
I didn't hear that, but I agree with that 100%. I'm willing to compromise, and I think, I don't know exactly how long it is, but maybe after 6 months, you should have had enough time to decide, do I want to have an abortion? I think women should have that right.
I mean, that's 2/3 of the way to pregnancy, though. I think that's too long, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think there's a school of thought. There's some science about when a baby can feel pain. And whenever that point is reached, I mean, I think it's close to 5 or 6 months. But whenever that point is reached, that's plenty of time for a woman to know she's pregnant and to decide whether or not to get an abortion. And so hopefully, that kind of compromise can be reached.
Yeah. What do you think of the current legislation now that was signed earlier this year by Polis?
I think that was up until the 9th month, right? There is unlimited.
Oh, yeah.
abortion.
Pretty much.
I would disagree with that because I just think I'm willing to believe the science that the baby can feel pain at that point. I've heard some horrific descriptions by Randy on Saturday's show about, ripping a baby out, coming out of the womb, out of the cervix and being killed. That's horrible.
It's murder. It's murder. It's murder.
It is murder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just on another topic, Steffan, and you don't need to keep me on to talk about this, but have you talked about the election fraud issue and whether or not that should be continued to be hung on to, even though
Gary, and thank you. I'll answer that, and I appreciate the call. Enjoy the big flakes and then the snow as well in Denver and Decay. By the way, because Gary got in a little dig, and it has been a while since Gary has called this program. And Gary, you're always welcome. It's been a while. I don't think Gary has called this program, to the best of my knowledge, since pre-pandemic. But Gary, you're always welcome to call. Gary got in a little dig. Little Denver and Decay dig. An anti-Denver and Decay dig. that I still think Denver's beautiful. You know what? I'm not going to disagree with you. Go out and enjoy the beauty of 1-inch wide snowflakes. And there are absolutely beautiful portions of the city of Denver. The only thing I would encourage is try to avoid being shot or having your car stolen, which I will get to on the other side. But the election fraud issue, I will say this for Gary's benefit and Gary's benefit only. I'll let my other fellow friends and colleagues tackle that all they want, discuss it as long as they want. They can tell themselves over and over that Ron Hanks is going to dethrone Senator Michael Bennet. They can say all they want that Tina Peters is going to be just fine. I like to avoid that. Why? Because I've already told you. Do I think this election and the election, for God's sake, friends, it's 2022. The November 2020 election, for Gary's benefit, in my estimation, was not the most secure ever. And I would say most certainly there was fraud. Was it as widespread as some people say? I have no idea. But I think I have said this from the beginning. If one vote, one ballot was compromised, that's one too many in this country. So I certainly think something happened with it. Do I think that somehow there was rampant enough fraud that it actually prevented Donald Trump from being president? I certainly don't have that proof. I have no proof, no knowledge. But for those that are dug in and their teeth have been consistently clenched or trying to chomp down on other issues, I wish them the best of luck. Just let me know if it's in my lifetime that you finally prove all the stuff you've been alleging. When we come back, probably no more phone calls this hour because we're going to do our week in review audio-wise, and we will have that coming up. And it is slowly but surely becoming a Friday fan favorite. So, Gary, thank you for the phone call. Thank you for listening. Steffan Tubbs with you on 710 KNUS.
News Talk 710. Update.
Denver's district attorney will be prosecuting 11 people for their roles in an auto theft ring that reportedly stole at least 130 vehicles since February of last year. Indictments accuse members of the ring of stealing property valued at more than $3 million, and that includes items purchased by the thieves using stolen identity documents and credit cards. Charges against the group include theft, weapons possession, drug possession, assault, and committing cybercrime. A judge is keeping the Title 42 in place for the time being. A Louisiana judge is keeping his injunction in place for the policy that has been used nearly 2 million times to deny migrants from seeking asylum in the U.S. due to COVID restrictions. If the injunction had been lifted, the Biden administration was expected to end Title 42 at any time. Attorney General Merrick Garland said there will be more of an effort to fight hate crimes nearly a week after a mass shooting in Buffalo that took the lives of 10 people. The Attorney General said that all people in this country should be able to live without fear of being attacked or harassed because of where they are from, what they look like, whom they love, or how they worship. This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com. Richard Robertson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It looks like in all the slippery weather, there's a problem right now on northbound I-25 getting up toward Upper Lake Gulch. There's an accident with a vehicle that hit the barrier. Also, a crash at Hamden westbound at Clarkson. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price and participation may vary.
Winter storm warnings in effect until noon tomorrow. We're also under a freeze warning tonight. Tonight, snow likely, heavy at times, areas of fog, lows in the upper 20s. Lingering snow Saturday with maybe even a couple of thunderstorms, highs upper 30s to near 40. Likely freezing temperatures in the upper 20s and low 30s with lingering showers Saturday night. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day 710 KNUS.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty.
In today's active real estate market, don't pay too much to sell your house. Colorado Flat Fee Realty is now offering a 2% option. If you were selling a $500,000 house, the agent typically charges you 6%. That's $30,000 for just a few days of work. Colorado Flat Fee Realty has a much better way. On that same $500,000 sale, you would save thousands with Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, why would you list your house with anyone else? Pay less, keep more. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Call 303-300-9660 to find out more. 303-300-9660 or visit ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Pay less, keep more, save thousands.
America's facing huge challenges: out of control inflation, radical ideologies forced on our children and grandchildren, the worsening crisis at our southern border. The threats are real. But you don't have to watch your golden years be tarnished by the radical left. Folks at AMAC are action-oriented and fight every day to represent your interests on Capitol Hill. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is America's conservative 50-plus organization. I'm a proud member of AMAC, and you can be too. To join, go to PragerForAMAC, AMAC.com, PragerForAMAC.com. Not only will you receive benefits like discounts on travel, cell phones, restaurants, your membership will help fight the radical left. For just $16 a year, that's not a lot. You can join forces with AMAC and 2.3 million Americans who share your values. I urge you to join or renew today at PragerForAMAC.com.
Fact: our bodies are under attack every day. Whether it's COVID, vaccines, the air we breathe, the water we drink, and even the food we eat, we are constantly trying to keep up with the Colorado weather, fighting off stress and inflammation. But there's a solution: C60 Complete. C60 Complete is a scientist-formulated, doctor-approved antioxidant supplement that helps you achieve a longer, healthier, and happier life. Do what I'm doing to improve my health and go to purebellavita.com. That's purebellavita.com to get your monthly supply today.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710 KNUS, Denver's local talk leader. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710 KNUS.
You might want to turn them on. I know many vehicles say that are really new and just ripe for being stolen in the greater Denver and Decay area. Their headlights already automatically come on. I want to ask you something real quick. I want to give you a quick trivia question you may or may not have seen. So especially just literally think about this. I want to ask you, well, I will right now. How many vehicles in the Denver in Decay metro area do you think were stolen on average every day last year? How many vehicles in the greater Denver metro area were stolen on an average day every day last year? The answer may or may not shock you. So think about that, and I'll give you the answer coming up after I tell you about my friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau. I'm passionate about our state's agricultural industry. I have friends that are in the industry, and some of their boy, it goes back their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents. And if I may say, on behalf of every farmer and rancher in the great state of Colorado currently getting any amount of precipitation, Matthew, I think it's time to get this going for... Where is it? Our farmers and ranchers. Yes. They need water, friends. For yet another year, every county in the state is officially designated for drought at some stage, and hopefully this absolutely will help. Well, of course, the Farm Bureau can't help, drought situations. They can't make it rain. If they could, they would. But they obviously are the ones that have the backs of our farming and ranching communities, whether it's at the state capitol or in Washington, D.C. The Colorado Farm Bureau is made up of farmers and ranchers, and believe it or not, people like you and me, consumers who want to support agriculture and find solutions to its biggest challenges. There's no easy answer for drought, but your membership will help the Farm Bureau solve problems that may just, in fact, down the road or even currently help keep our family farms and ranches going for years to come. Join me and become a Colorado Farm Bureau member as well. You don't have to have a direct tie. I don't, but I certainly have friends in the industry. Become a member today. ColoradoFarmBureau.com. That's ColoradoFarmBureau.com. We've got our audio look back at the week that was coming up. But first, could this possibly be because there's a lack of law and order in the metro Denver and Decay area? They can tell you all day long, well, we just don't have the manpower. Then hire more people. Go on a nationwide job search. Stop letting these thugs, criminals, idiots, opportunists simply sign their name, and it is, as we call it on the program, not a promise to reappear in front of a judge. It is a promise to disappear. So let me tell you first, on average in 2019 in Metro Denver, 36 cars on average were stolen every single day. That was in 2019. In 2020, the pandemic year, that number went from 36 to 55 cars on average per day in the metro area were stolen. Last year, hold my beer, 75 vehicles on average were stolen every single day in the greater Denver and Decay metro area over the course of 2021. That, according to the Colorado Metropolitan Auto Theft Task Force. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering if 2022, can we get to 100 on average of vehicles stolen a day in our state? Well, we're off to a really good start after Q1. The Colorado Metropolitan Auto Theft Task Force reported a 24% increase across the metro area in Q1 of this new year. Lock your cars. Lock your cars. All right, drum roll, please. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time, if I can find it. Where is it, Matthew? I do not see it. There we go. Ready for this? This is actually new.
The sounds from the stories in the spotlight this week. Steffan's Friday Replay on News Talk 710 KNUS.
If they want to quote that, the Aurora Sentinel, also known as Dave Perry's blog against Republicans, if you want to quote something, Chief Vanessa Wilson is trash.
Well, thank you, Steffan, and thank you for standing by me through this whole thing. You know, this is something that I had to bear the weight of quietly. You know, I knew that this investigation was going on, and you know, the investigation against me was closed off.
Moments for the president and first lady as they visited a makeshift memorial outside the Top supermarket. Paying their respects to the victims of the attack, the president stood at the site with his hand over his heart. He then made the sign of the cross.
President Biden says his administration will report to the Senate the two countries' applications for quick approval.
They have the full, total, complete backing of the United States of America.
But it comes
What a
amid
big day
opposition.
for ufology today, right?
Yeah, I've never even heard ufology. I love that. Matt had told me that you watched the hearings today. Take all the time you need and give us your thoughts.
I did. First thing this morning. First of all, they moved it up an hour. So it was like quick last minute notice. Oh, it's on right now, which is interesting. Let's start with the good news.
It's also been reported that there have been UAP observed and interacting with and flying over sensitive military facilities, particularly, and not just ranges, but some facilities housing our strategic nuclear forces. One such incident.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. The whole thing, dude.
I believe there's something that's out there. I really do.
Is this something?
I'm not an abductee, and I know you're going to make me into some tinfoil hat wearing redneck, but the reality is that, and I quote my Bible: "Profess yourself to be wise, you became a fool." And I just don't believe we have all the knowledge that we think we do. And I think if you think Congress,
my team, a momentous day. It's a very, very good day. Today, I'm proud to welcome and offer the strong support of the United States for the applications of two great democracies and two close, highly capable partners to join the strongest, most powerful defensive alliance in the history of the world.
Here's Manson. Bennington's reset. Manson scores! Josh Manson wins game one.
U.S. Transportation Command is expeditiously coordinating across federal agencies to include the Departments of Agriculture and Health and Human Services and the Food and Drug Administration to support the President's direction to conduct Operation Fly Formula. U.S. Transportation Command will leverage its partnership with commercial air carriers to contract and accelerate the importation of infant formula into the United States that meets our government's health.
if Trump were to return to the White House as president, and COVID is still a threat, or there's some other public health emergency, would you have confidence in his ability? Would you have confidence in his ability to deal with a pandemic of this nature? Would you want to stay on in your post?
Well, no. To the second
Special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. To all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. You deserve a break today at McDonald's. McDonald's Big Mac.
Remember, Matt tried one this week.
I've got a really good feeling about vaccination right at this very moment.
Just his
Thank you.
impersonation of de Blasio. That, we'll do it one more time in the 6 o'clock hour. A look at the audio that we talked about this week. The 5 o'clock hour next.
Hey everybody, Randy Corcoran back Saturday with the warm-up show for the Republican Rumble at the Grizzly Rose. I'm planning on open lines all show long. Lots of people have reached out to me regarding the Dick Wadhams Hour last week. Grab the Hour 3 podcast if you haven't heard it yet. That and so much more. It's you and me, baby, Saturday.
Wake up with Randy Corcoran, Saturdays from 9 to noon on News Talk 710 KNUS.
The fastest way to know what your home would sell for today is from the Ribble Group. Keller Williams DTC. Simply text your address to 800-763-3000. Don't call, just text your address to 800-763-3000.
Our workforce needs work. I'm Holly Robinson Peete. Join me, Delivering Jobs, and the Society for Human Resource Management in creating pathways to 1 million jobs for those with intellectual and developmental differences.
To learn more, please visit deliveringjobs.org.
This is the Cenegenics Health Minute with my good friend, Dr. Tim Watt.
Hi, I'm Dr. Watt from Cenegenics, and I hate cheat day. One of the worst things about many diets is the so-called cheat day. You eat a certain way for 6 days, and on day 7, you go off the rails and basically binge on all of the garbage you were eating before you started the diet. Not only does this tend to undo all of the work you just put in on things like your blood sugar levels, it reinforces your desire to eat junk. Instead of learning to think donuts are not something I would do to myself, you learn that if you're just good for a while, you can get all the donuts you want. Making unhealthy food a reward is a recipe for failure. If you cared about your marriage, would you come home and tell your spouse you just had a fling with someone at the office? But hey, it's cheat day. Good luck with that. When you cheat on your diet, you aren't cheating on a salad, you're cheating on yourself. Why would you do that?
Call Cenegenics today at 720-387-3681 or visit denver.cenegenics.com.
Perfect air with a personal touch. Only Pastor Camp Heating and AC Inc. can give you authentic Lennox quality and service. They're the people you know and trust right here in our community. And for a limited time, they're offering up to $1,000 in rebates or make no payments for 6 months when you finance a new Lennox system for as little as $132 a month. To get quality Lennox equipment with trusted service provided by Pastor Camp Heating and AC Inc., call 303-777-1234 today or visit them online at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for detail.
It's easy and profitable to be kind to others when you enter the Kindness Challenge. Each day for 30 days, we'll post a new act of kindness that you can do for others. On June 1st, you could win $5,000, and a deserving organization will also receive $5,000 in your name. You can make a difference in others' lives when you enter the Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge is brought to you in part by Littleton Jewelry, your home for custom jewelry, diamonds, and repairs.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station. News Talk 710, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Get tickets online at 710knus.com.
In addition to the slowing on the freeways because of the weather, there are a couple of accidents too. Federal at West 29th Avenue, Federal showing up at West 46th Avenue, and there is a collision on Santa Fe northbound at 6th Avenue. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Suffering from junk sleep? Mattress Firm can help. Get a king bed for a queen price and save up to $500 off during the best Memorial Day sale ever.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's 34 degrees and snowy in Denver. We'll have the 710 5-day forecast in just a moment. A late, unusual May snowstorm has caused some problems for Denver International Airport. At one point, the airport reported more than 210 cancellations and more than 300 delays. So if you're flying out today or tomorrow, check your flight status with your airline before heading to the airport. President Biden is stressing the growing cooperation between the U.S. and South Korea on his first visit to Asia. He toured a semiconductor plant in Seoul earlier today.
These little chips, only a few nanometers thick, are the key to propelling us into the next era of humanity's technological development.
The Samsung plant Biden visited is serving as a blueprint for a $17 billion facility the electronics giant plans to build near Austin, Texas. And prosecutors in the Mesa County are denying claims of election tampering by Clerk Tina Peters. The Mesa County DA told county commissioners that there was no evidence to support Peters' claims the election data was manipulated or mishandled. The DA also said there was extensive evidence that there was no outside interference in county elections. This report is brought to you by News Nation. Watch Banfield weeknights at 8 Mountain on fastest growing cable news network in America. News Nation. Go to newsnationnow.com/ join us for your TV provider. And wake up to George with George Blockler weekday mornings from 7 to 10 only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit.
Winter storm warnings in effect until noon tomorrow. We're also under a freeze warning tonight. Tonight, snow likely, heavy at times, areas of fog, lows in the upper 20s. Lingering snow Saturday with maybe even a couple of thunderstorms, highs upper 30s to near 40. Likely freezing temperatures in the upper 20s and low 30s with lingering showers Saturday night. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day 710 KNUS.
A longtime newsman with an opinion, a proud dad, an American, supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
we'll have one more time, a kind of a montage audio look as we do every Friday at some of the sound that we talked about, you reacted to, etc. We even have the new station voice open. Wow. I mean, that's big time. That's great stuff. So that may be my last laugh for maybe the first segment of the program. By the way, be safe out there. I know you know how to drive in the snow, but what about the guy next to you? It's always the person next to you. It's crazy. Big snowflakes, heavy, wet stuff. It does appear to be starting to stick to those grassy areas. I can guarantee you, though, we are not in team coverage storm 2020. We aren't. First of all, our team is pretty small, especially on Friday, right, Matt? I mean, you look around. Is anybody in the cubicle right around the corner? Hello, anybody there? They will say, while the boss is away, the kids will play, or whatever that cliche is. So anyhow, be careful out there. Lots of snow. I did get my obligatory, and thank you, Tom, my friend in Larkspur, beautiful Larkspur, sent me the obligatory patio furniture covered in beautiful snow.
I decided today to start carrying Narcan.
Some of you will get that. Okay, that was my second laugh this hour. I probably won't again this hour. Let's see. 36 cars were stolen a day in the greater Denver in Decay metro area in 2019. I can just hear there's always somebody.
What do you expect? Why don't you compare it to another city of comparable size?
Okay, well, you may have a point there. That was 36 cars a day stolen in 2019. 2020. Well, the bad people certainly had more time on their hands. You see, probably some of the car thieves in the greater metro area were actually collecting not only unemployment, in addition to that government bonus. And so they had plenty of time because they didn't work. They were getting paid, but then they had plenty of time to go steal more cars. So from 36 a day in 2019 to 55 a day in 2020. But friends, you ain't seen or heard nothing yet, because last year, the number went from just 2 years prior of 36 cars stolen a day in the metro area to an estimated 75 vehicles stolen every single day, Monday through Sunday, according to a task force that is comprised of law enforcement from around the metro area. Sit down for this. There were at least, and I don't know if, I would say there's got to be a couple of cars that were quote unquote stolen that are never reported. Why? Well, probably a car that was stolen from someone, there at least was one or two. Well, those cars were stolen already. Like, bad guy stole from a bad guy. You see what I'm saying? But at least 27,443 vehicles were stolen last year alone in the Denver metro area. They estimate the economic impact of at least $243 million last year, using the FBI's economic impact estimate of just under $9,000 per stolen vehicle. Yes, I am as questioning that as you are. Now, maybe the average vehicle, when you go through, nearly 27,500 vehicles, you come up with an average of just under 9,000. I do know this for a fact. They're not just stealing beaters, are they? So some of those vehicles certainly had a value of more than almost $9,000. And then there are the catalytic converters. Well, your vehicle's not stolen. Criminal says, yeah, I know. The criminal with a conscience. I probably shouldn't do this because then, I'm not stealing the car. I'm just stealing the catalytic converter. How many thousands and thousands of those puppies have been stolen? Maybe tens of thousands over the last few years, just in our beautiful Denver and Decay area. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, especially in this first segment. We'll open up the phone lines, 303-696-1971. Have you had your car stolen? Somebody that you work with, your son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, your cousin. How was that for you? Do you blame, say, a lack of law and order like I do? Let's see. If we just by chance, work with me, please. If we had a law it's the weirdest law ever written. It's only for the greater Denver and Decay area, and it'll be defined in the said law. But if you are caught and you are convicted of stealing a vehicle, you will lose your right hand, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. Now that is so extreme, right? Of course it is. But if we had a law for our greater Denver and Decay area that said, if you are caught with a stolen vehicle, if you are caught in the commission of a crime, if you are caught and fingerprints and investigation, if there's time, if they have the resources to do that, you will lose your right hand. We will, in fact, turn a portion of the Greek Theater in Civic Center Park into a every Friday at noon, like they used to do at the Tower of London, Anne Boleyn, etc. And they actually did most of the beheadings back in the day in London on what's called Tower Hill. But people would come, they'd have picnics. So we'd have a picnic Friday. Every single Friday of the year, 52 Fridays at noon, we go and watch someone lose their hand because they stole a car. They shouldn't have done it. See, you wouldn't have a lot of people that would lose their hands because there would be consequences. But the way it is now, and yes, that is an extreme example, but without law and order, without potential ramifications, without decent punishment for, say, stealing a vehicle, that's what happens. And that's why you see, in my estimation, though I am no law enforcement expert, you see in 2019, the average is 36 a day stolen. And that jumped to last year, 75. That's because we don't want to offend anyone. I'm sure as hell as the sun will rise tomorrow, I can guarantee you that white people steal cars. I sure as hell can tell you that blacks steal cars, Asians steal cars, Hispanics steal cars, but we don't want to offend anybody else if there is one particular racial group that may steal more vehicles. I don't care if the majority are done by whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians. I don't care. Crack down and you just may see that number not go up literally almost double in 2 years. You may just see if there are consequences. You may not have as many stolen cars. But we're taxed. How many times did they blame COVID in 2020? We just can't do it. The courts are taxed and trials by jury are being postponed, etc. And then, of course, you've got the moronic leaders, the elected district attorneys in certain spots like Kragatha, Hagatha. I sleep, I would presume, most nights with my firebug husband. The self-proclaimed progressive DA from Denver. When you do not have law and order, friends, what in God's name do you expect to happen to these numbers? Yes, they'll go up. 303-696-1971. David in Centennial joins us. Welcome. Good evening, my man, and thank you for the call.
Steffan, thanks for taking up this topic.
You bet.
It is the catalytic converter theft in this city, in this state, actually, has been on our radar for a couple of years.
How come?
So I'm the CEO of the Colorado Independent Automobile Dealers Association.
Oh, okay.
And we've been working on this issue for 2 years. And a big problem with it is the victims of the theft of catalytic converters are being victimized again by the state of Colorado because of a rule change that they made January 1st of 2001.
Interesting. I don't know about it. Please tell us all.
So Governor Hickenlooper, on his way out of office, said we would follow the California emissions rules and have CARB-certified catalytic converters. Governor Polis signed that act to take effect January 1st of 2021. Now people who, and the problem with this is, and nobody could foresee this on the horizon, that the theft would increase to what it is increased, which is over 5,100% in 2021. The theft of catalytic converters.
Wow.
We had over 10,000 catalytic converters stolen in the state. And those are the ones that are reported.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them go unreported because it increases
exactly
your insurance costs.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
Victims of businesses, once they've been victimized, if you keep making claims, they're going to drop you. Yeah, and so nobody wants to go through that. And you used to be able to get a catalytic converter, an aftermarket catalytic converter, replacement cost between $300 for the part, getting it installed, removed, about $1,000. We've seen that go up to $2,500 to $5,000 and $6,000 for catalytic converters, because you have to get these CARB-certified catalytic converters following a California rule for their emissions. There is no supply, virtually no supply. You can go on right now to one of the auto parts and you punch in CARB-certified catalytic converter, and it'll show not available. It'll list them, but not available in your area. So victims that have had their cars catalytic converter stolen, and they're stealing them for the precious materials inside the catalytic converter, are being victimized again. And we ran a couple bills this year, and we ran one bill, Senate Bill 22009, which would allow the use of aftermarket catalytic converters that aren't CARB certified, which you can find online, but you cannot get them shipped to our state because of this law.
Unreal. Let me ask you this, and I'll have you, for our audience, give this your title again. Again, David is calling us from Centennial. And please tell me not only your name and title again, so we can maybe get some more information, and I'll Google some articles. But can you take us through the process? I have known about this, obviously, in doing what I do. Look, it's been probably 18 months since it really came upon my radar that a lot of people are getting their catalytic converters stolen. And obviously, as you know, it's not just here in the metro area or Colorado. This is coast to coast. It's going on everywhere. Tell me what you understand about where does this go from here? I mean, so I have this ripped off. There's got to be some nefarious end game where they're taking this stolen thing and giving me whatever for the precious metals.
Well, we believe it's going onto the black market. We believe it's involved with maybe the cartels because they're taking the metals out of those catalytic converters and recycling them and selling them. And when you get enough of them, the value goes up. And there's a short supply. The biggest problem with this is the materials that are inside them come from overseas. As a matter of fact, they come from where there's a war going on right now. In Ukraine
kidding.
And Russia. And so it's putting a big cramp in the supply of them. And the difference between the CARB certified catalytic converter and the non-CARB certified is the increase in the material inside of them.
So it sounds like, from your perspective, and again, give me the organization again.
So I am with the CEO of the Colorado Independent Automobile Dealers Association, which was founded in 1941. And we have 1,125 members currently in our association.
Now, come clean with me. Is Dealin' Doug in a Superman suit? Is he one of your, like, the people you'd represent?
Dealin' Doug is part of the Colorado Auto Dealers Association. They have their own. That's the new car franchises. Although we do have We do have some franchise stores that belong to us because everybody sells used cars.
Right, right.
And we fight for their issues. But we represent the independents that sell anywhere from 10 cars a month to up to 600 used cars a month.
Got it. I think I
so
just
we have
found,
some of the large
I think is your website. It looks like ciada.org.
Correct.
Okay. CIADA.org. You can find out more about what David is talking about. Man, what a crazy time for your industry, right? We hear about the supply chain issues. You can't get chips. You can't get that. Your used car prices have gone up. I don't know. You can tell me better, but I hear that used car prices are, at least for a time, were up like 25%, if not more. What a nuts time in your industry.
The industry has seen an increase of 40%.
Wow.
And why the prices have gone up, the costs have gone up for everyone. And that means dealers trying to acquire vehicles that are in short supply. And that's always passed along to the consumer. So the catalytic converter, because you can't get the replacement parts here in the state, when dealerships have been victimized, they send them out of state to sell them at auction because they can be replaced for the $400 or $500 like we used to be able to do here. Also, if you're here, you could take it to a neighboring state and get one of these aftermarket catalytic converters installed, and the car comes back into our state and will pass the emissions test.
Yeah.
Because they meet all the requirements. It's just because of this law, and we're hoping that Governor Polis will do an executive order and to bring relief to the victims who've been victimized by this crime. But it's unfortunate because the response we've had from the Colorado Department of Public Health, who oversees the Air Care Colorado with the emissions test and things like that, their response back was, well, we think everybody should just follow the law. Well, if everybody followed the law, the catalytic converters wouldn't be getting stolen, and we wouldn't be in this situation.
Amen. You would not call for this reason.
Exactly.
Listen, I think there's more to my theory of we become like the worst in the world. Boy, you don't want to steal a car in Colorado. They'll cut off your right hand. Boy, if we just had stuff, along the lines of getting tougher, and we don't want to offend anybody now. So, listen, I'm so glad that you called. I'm going to put you on hold, David, and we'll exchange some information with you. Maybe we can have you on again. And I've got plenty of other questions and maybe get some tips too. If, like, for me, I need a new but used truck, for example, I'd really like one. I'm not asking you to do many favors, but we'd like to maybe have you on again. So I really appreciate you listening and for calling in.
You got a great show, Steffan. Look forward to hearing it every night on the way home from work.
Bless you, brother. Thank you, and be safe out there. David, with the Colorado Association for Used Car Dealers. You can find out more on what they do. CIADA.org. It looks like Ciada. Isn't Russell Wilson's wife named that? Or is that Sierra? Chara? Whatever. Friends, if you're on hold, we got to be patient. I ask you to be patient. We got to get to a break, but thank you for David's call, and look forward to perhaps having him on once again, as this is not going away. Again, if you are just clicking on there, I think one line open soon. And if you've gone through auto theft, the reason why we're talking about it, I'll tell you on the other side. We'll reset and make sure everybody's on the same page. But a new report comes out yesterday or today, about the incredible increase from 2019 to, well, even last year, but the first quarter of this year is atrocious with auto theft. It's just nuts. If you want to get the hell out of here, at least for a vacation, get with my friends I have trusted for more than 15 years for business and leisure travel. It's Highlands Ranch Travel. Marcy and their staff, they're just so great. If you've had travel nightmares, you know that there is something to be said for counting on 24-hour assistance while you're on the road traveling. If you are looking to make a really big trip, whether it's even this year or some people, obviously you may be doing we're going to get everybody's schedule coordinated, and in the, say, spring of 2023, we're going to go on an African safari. You can do that online. But I suggest that you go the old-fashioned way. I'm old school. I like looking at travel brochures and most certainly sitting down with someone that has maybe been there and done that. They can tell me the do's and don'ts, and that's exactly what they're going to do and able to do for you at Highlands Ranch Travel. No pushy, hey, well, why don't you just add this on because they're getting some kind of commission. They are the real deal at Highlands Ranch Travel. You don't have to live in Highlands Ranch. You don't have to live in Douglas County, but you can take advantage of these travel professionals. They can help you plan, understand requirements if you're, say, going overseas, or if you want to take like the best trip you've ever taken to, I don't know, you want to go to Nashville. They can help you plan your vacation. Stop dreaming, start packing online, hrtvl.com. That's hrtvl.com, or tell them Steffan sent you. 303-791-2311, 303-791-2311, and book your appointment with a travel specialist. They certainly would love to meet you in person. And after 2020 and COVID and the pandemic, get back on the road. It is time. hrtvl.com.
Still working to clear out a crash on I-25 northbound getting up towards Spruce Mountain with a car that went into the center divider. Also, Hamden eastbound approaching University with a collision and slowing from Clarkson. It looks like 5 cars are involved. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees the left using another crisis.
What happened here is simple and straightforward. Terrorism, domestic terrorism.
They're using it. The bodies haven't been buried. The attack in Buffalo is being exploited, is being perverted for political purposes.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 1 on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty.
In today's active real estate market, don't pay too much to sell your house. Colorado Flat Fee Realty is now offering a 2% option. If you were selling a $500,000 house, the agent typically charges you 6%. That's $30,000 for just a few days of work. Colorado Flat Fee Realty has a much better way. On that same $500,000 sale, you would save thousands with Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, why would you list your house with anyone else? Pay less, keep more. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Call 303-300-9660 to find out more. 303-300-9660 or visit ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Pay less, keep more, save thousands.
Personalized, functional, beautiful. Kitchens, the centerpiece of your home, a place to gather and eat, and we all want one we can enjoy. Your kitchen remodel can bring all the latest designs, colors, and textures to life, from brilliant countertop and backsplash installations to cabinets in the style and function that fit you best. Cabinetry by Kales is known for extraordinary kitchen design, and you'll love working with their expert designers who can take your ideas and tastes and bring them to life. Cabinetry by Kales Kitchen and Bath carries multiple lines of cabinetry and countertops, plus hardware selections and a variety of styles and price ranges for the kitchen, bathroom, or other cabinet projects. Get started at cabinetrybyKales.com or in the showroom located off Dransfeld in Parker. You'll find inspiration and understand the process start to finish. Why wait another moment? Your kitchen refresh, upgrade, or complete remodel awaits at Cabinetry by Kales Kitchen and Bath. cabinetrybyKales.com. Personalized, functional, beautiful.
My mom turned 65 last year, and let me tell you, helping her get her Medicare benefits squared away was not easy. She had so many choices for coverage, and most agents she spoke with just left her feeling overwhelmed and confused. She tried to do some research on her own, but Mom isn't the most tech-savvy person out there, so it was hard for her to make sense of the provider websites and paperwork. When she asked me for help, I found Chapter, and they made both of our lives so much easier. They compare thousands of Medicare plans and help seniors choose the best plan for their needs. Mom spoke to one of their advisors, and she walked her through every step of the process. Now she's on a great plan, and we both can relax. And the best part? Chapter was 100% free.
If you or your loved one wants to maximize their Medicare benefits, give Chapter a call today. 800-449-8578. Call today. 800-449-8578. That's 800-449-8578. Chapter Medicare.
News Talk 710. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Really appreciated the call from David. He with Colorado's Association for Used Car Dealers, talking about the incredible numbers that it also is just so sickening. But if you are just joining us, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Elaine, you are up next, so we'll get to your phone call. Just share your story. Even if anything, use me as your free therapist. If you want, you're so pissed that your son's, I don't know, beater car, but he paid, a premium in this used car market, etc. And it has been such a hassle because now the car is stolen. Who knows if they're going to recover it? He's without transportation. Maybe he can't take public transportation to get to his job, etc. This is the snowball effect. And it all starts, to me, with that maybe bad analogy, but thank you. I think the mom who's had it said, I like the idea of cutting somebody's hand off. Now, maybe that's just a little too harsh. I don't think they would they'd ever go for that under the Golden Dome. Do you? No, I don't think so. But that's my example. If you have law and order and the punishment is maybe even, see, we've got to have a punishment that's commensurate with the crime. Well, yeah, Johnny may have stolen the catalytic converter, but he didn't murder the owner. So maybe we just let him, you sign this PR bond and we'll get you out there with CDOT crews and you can pick up some trash. No, if Johnny knew, again, maybe bad example. I don't know how bad it is, though, to be honest with you. Johnny, if you are caught stealing a car in Colorado, you're going to lose your right hand. Boom. We're going to have it at the Greek Theater, Civic Center Park every Friday at noon. Rain, sleet, snow, blizzard, blistering hot, doesn't matter. You see, if you have a deterrent, that will bring down crime. If you have law and order, you won't see numbers like this. According to the big task force, and to you men and women, maybe part of that task force of auto theft in the metro area, kudos to you. It's sad that there has to be a task force in this greater Denver and Decay area because of all the stolen cars. And once again, to our critics out there, they'd say, there you go again. You're obsessed with an issue. All you got to do. No, I talk reality. On average in 2019, in Metro Denver, 36 cars were stolen every single day. In 2019, 36. In 2020, that number jumped to 55 on average vehicles stolen in the metro area every day. Last year, that number increased. It almost doubled from 2019. In 2021, an average of 75 vehicles were stolen every single day, according to the task force in Metro Denver. Translation: that means 27,444 vehicles in Metro Denver were stolen. And that's probably not all of them, because I said earlier in the hour, maybe there's a bad guy that steals it from another bad guy. Does that really count as a stolen car twice? Economic impact said to be $243 million last year alone. I think that's low, because they use an FBI economic impact study that averages about a little less than $9,000 per stolen vehicle. Well, if you steal, say, I don't know, a Ford F-250 or a Yukon Denali or anything else, the price of that vehicle is probably a little bit higher. But of course, they're saying this is the average because there are the low-end beaters that are stolen as well. But one of the reasons this happens, in my opinion, is because what are the consequences for the bad guys? There's so much. Tonight, somebody, most likely within the next 6 hours, someone in the city and county of Denver will be shot. They may die. But we've got other problems. So what are these law enforcement? There's only so many men and women in law enforcement, and don't the crooks know it? Then you've got a place like Aurora in decay, and the Aurora Police Department losing, 250 officers? I'm out. Well, that's 250 less people potentially that are working on cases involving bad guys. If you don't have morale within your department, you don't have authorities, law enforcement, sheriff's deputies, police officers, if they don't have the investigative tools that they can use, whether that's paperwork and what laws say, or literally they don't have enough people to go out and investigate, what do you think happens? Exactly this. And then, of course, not to mention the idiots in so many district attorney's offices around this state of Colorado. First and foremost, Kragatha with the Denver DA's office. Elaine in Littleton joins us. Elaine, thank you for the call, and good evening to you.
I just fairly recently turned the radio on to listen, but I had written down something that I would like to say, and I know that you have to have a lot more than this, but I've been a psych nurse for about 48 years, and I'm used to setting limits. So what I know about that is that if you set the limit, you then need to enforce it.
100%. The enforcement part of this is really the gist of my point of ranting and raving about this not every day, but seemingly every day. The enforcement part is the most important.
It is the most important, and we need to be able to give our police and people who are dealing with this the abilities and what they need to have to be able to do their job.
Yep. I hear you. Do you know anybody that's had their catalytic converter ripped off, or a car that's been ripped off over the last few years?
No, except that I have witnessed a lot of people stealing things out of stores. Yeah. And when I have said something about that, I'm hearing, well, there's nothing we can do about it. We're told not to even call. And I'm like, well, I can call. I'm not employed at your store.
Wait a minute. They are even saying that they're told to not even call the police.
Yes, they are.
My
That's
goodness.
what I have been told by several employees.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, I was at a store in Littleton the other night, and I walked out and I smelled smoke, and I looked across the street, and there was like one of those tin barrel kinds of things with a fire in it, and somebody was cooking their dinner behind a building. Mm-hmm. And I said to the staff inside, I said, "This is what's happening outside your store." And they said, "We've been told not to make any phone calls." And I said, "Well, I can make the phone call." So I did, and I did not have a very good response. I won't go into what that was. But I think, you have to set, I worked with kids for years, and they're really basically the same. Set the limit and be able to enforce it.
Amen. Great call. All right, Elaine, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's get to Diane in Denver. Welcome, and good evening to you.
Well, good evening to you, Steffan. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Let's see. We are thankful we have not been catalytic converter people stolen, but we had neighbors, one out in the street. Their car was up there, an element that was stolen. Actually, two of them, elements. So if you have a hot element, beware. I'm so tired of Denver not enforcing laws. We pay so much money in taxes, fees, and start doing their job. I know. We had a gentleman who had his car stolen in Denver here, and he called in the police, and the police said, "Well, did you know that Colorado is the #1 state for car theft?"
Oh, yeah.
That's what you want to hear when your car is stolen.
Right.
Thankfully, he did get it back, a Suburban, a couple days ago, but like
Yeah,
you
I
said,
wonder how much
without
different it was. Did it smell? Were there signs of drug use? Did it smell like they had smoked 48 packs of menthol cigarettes or whatever? I'm glad they got it back, but a lot of times cars are even totaled because these people have zero care for the vehicle. It's today's
Right.
vehicle that they'll drive around, and then they'll go on to dump it and then go try to steal another one, and they will.
Right, right, and that did happen to us. We're kind of naive. We moved here from a very conservative state, North Dakota, and North Dakota, you can sometimes just leave your car running for a couple minutes and come back out, and
Yep.
your car will be there.
Mhm.
My husband one morning, 4 minutes. He forgot
No.
something in our condo, 6 o'clock in the morning, and
And
went
you know
in to
what?
get something,
You know what,
and
Diane?
there goes our car.
Yeah, unbelievable. I'm sorry that happened. And here's what
But we
some
got it. But we got it back. Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
Got it back, and there is a place where they steal cars, dump them off, go steal another one, and they supposedly checked our car and everything and said everything's fine. Got it back, and guess what? They didn't search my car well enough because it had a sawed-off shotgun in it.
Oh, for God's sake! No way.
Yeah, I should have kept it, but yes. So
Wow.
our car was going to be stolen with the intention of, robbery, burglary, then dump off our car.
What I was
thank
gonna,
goodness.
yeah, thank God. I mean, geez. So what I was going to say is, right now there's at least some person listening to us going, and I hear it all the time. Well, it's her fault. They shouldn't have left it running. They call it the puffer law or whatever. But the point, I think, is
Right.
so often the
It
point
was
is so
our
missed.
fault,
Yeah,
yes.
I know. But the point is so often overlooked that. Okay, yeah, I know that's why you have the law and you shouldn't leave your car running for 2, 3, 4 minutes or whatever. But isn't it sad, A, that we have to have a law like that, and B, that less than 5 minutes, somebody feels like, well, this person was, no offense to your husband, but this person was a dummy. Well, they're rolling the dice. They get it. I'm going to go steal it. I just, it is so frustrating here. I cannot imagine the changes that you see and have experienced between North Dakota. I think you said North Dakota and here.
Yes. Yes. Well, you know what? I think there's a reason why you've seen a lot of people leaving. And, there's a point where people get fed up. And,
I hear you.
We're to that point too. You can't live a life like you feel like you have to lock everything. Like we only leave our garage door open,
Oh, no.
because
Yeah.
we think people will be there, casing out your neighborhood. Really, they are. They really are.
Everywhere. Diane, it's
everywhere.
everywhere.
You got to lock your doors everywhere. You just feel like you're in prison. You don't have the safety, you don't have the freedom. And I agree with you. There's a saying, without psychological disruption, there will be no healthy change. Maybe that healthy change is cutting off thumbs. But you know what?
Right.
People have got to pay for consequences for breaking the law.
Amen.
And if you don't do that, it's going to continue on, which we see here and many other cities that are run by Democrats. Chicago, all these other cities.
Undeniable.
We need law and order.
Yes, you do.
Thank
Great
you for
call.
all you're doing. Thank you for my call.
Oh, thank you.
Have a-
That was a great one. You have a safe weekend out there, and hopefully the sun will come out tomorrow, Annie. In this case, Diane. Great call. One more before the break. We'll get Richard's news right around the corner. On the other side, I'll tell you about a merry band of idiots. They allegedly were part of a huge Denver auto theft ring. Well, you just watch what DA, Winky Winky, is going to say that we are tough on crime. Paul in Denver wraps up this segment. Paul, good evening to you.
Hey, Steffan.
Yeah, man.
Not in this car thefts and stuff making things more expensive for used cars. If any car had kind of broken down part or anything, I work in the aftermarket parts business. You can't hardly get half the stuff. Gaskets, all kinds of stuff. Just you can't get them.
Huh. And what
It's
is that?
not
What do they
available.
tell you? So in what you do for a living, what do they tell you as to the reason?
One place, a big, huge supplier, Mala Clevite. You look them up, you'll see they're a huge aftermarket parts supplier. They can't get anybody to go to work.
I mean, I don't even mean to laugh, but I mean, does that surprise anybody listening? Oh, really? You're having a tough time because people don't want to work. And I think is interesting,
They
Paul.
just don't have enough employees to pull their orders to ship them.
Yeah. And you know what I think is interesting is, people like you and me, and I you're always a good caller. And I to the best of my knowledge, we've pretty much agreed on many things. And,
Yep.
I look at this and on the outside, all these people do is complain. No, you know what we are doing? We are talking about reality. And if you live in a gated community or a nice little neighborhood and your neighbor hasn't had a car stolen yet, yeah, I could see how you think people like me are just bitching and complaining. But see, what we give you also is the alternative perspective. They can tell you all day long to carry Narcan, and they can, tell you the beautiful snowflakes and the trees are so beautiful along 6th Avenue near Colorado. But at the same time, there's also problems. And you tell me the last person that led this city that really admitted that there was a problem in Denver. I can't think of was it Wellington Webb? Maybe. It certainly wasn't Hickenlooper, and it sure as hell isn't Michael Hancock.
Yeah, I had a storage facility in Aurora. Someone came in, cut my lock off, stole my stuff, and put their own lock on it. So the storage place couldn't tell.
Unreal. Brother, you have a good weekend. I got to get to a break. I appreciate it, Paul, as always. We will take a timeout. When we come back, I'll give you the why maybe Kragatha McCann is going to go to bed tonight with her firebug husband and tell him what a great job that her office did this week. We'll talk about the Denver auto theft ring that was broken up. Of course, all of them innocent until proven guilty. News time now, 710 KNUS.
News Talk 710. Update.
The investment banking firm J.P. Morgan suggests that we could see $6 a gallon gas across the country as early as this summer. Economist Ray Perryman says that would have widespread effects on the economy as families cut back.
Anything that's not a necessity, all types of consumer spending that you could regard as the sort of luxury spending or spending that could be postponed.
In March, President Biden announced the release of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That has not helped the price at the pump, which has now topped more than $4 a gallon in all 50 states. The Colorado average is just below $4.14. El Paso County's tax assessor says a bill passed by state lawmakers isn't going to create a lot of future savings for Colorado property owners. He said that the cut in commercial and residential property assessment rates isn't really a tax cut. Property owners will be getting some money, but it comes from excess revenue the state has already collected and needs to return to taxpayers. He adds that next year, all property in the state will have its value reassessed. He says that could lead to higher property tax payments next year. The IRS will pay 5% in guaranteed interest to those with delayed tax returns. The policy begins in July. The figure is up a percentage point from the last interest rate hike that took effect. According to a watchdog report from April, the IRS has paid out almost $14 billion in refund interest payments in the last 7 fiscal years. This report is brought to you by Done Right. If you're going to do it right or don't bother. Call Done Right for kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, and even replacement windows and doors. 800-362-8370 or drhi.com. Richard Robertson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Traffic is still tied up on I-25 going in the northbound direction towards Spruce Mountain. There is a collision involving at least one car that went into the barrier, so slowing as you're coming up out of Colorado Springs. And a 5-car collision on Hamden eastbound toward University. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Winter storm warnings in effect until noon tomorrow. We're also under a freeze warning tonight. Tonight, snow likely, heavy at times, areas of fog. Lows in the upper 20s. Lingering snow Saturday with maybe even a couple of thunderstorms. Highs upper 30s to near 40. Likely freezing temperatures in the upper 20s and low 30s with lingering showers Saturday night. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day 710 KNUS.
Hi, this is Joyce.
And Brent.
Your team from Roll 'em Out Shelves. We turn your kitchen clutter into more practical and usable space, bringing order, ease, and peace to your favorite spaces with our unique solutions. Our custom rollout shelves transform space and accessibility. It is truly one of the most affordable and functional home improvements you can make. Our manufacturing process guarantees quality shelves and exceptional customer satisfaction made right here in Colorado.
Mom, can you believe we've almost had 20 years of experience building 100% satisfaction guaranteed shelving units for kitchens, bathrooms, garages, and more?
Yes, Brent, I believe it. Over and over, our solutions leave behind satisfied customers. We love seeing kitchens tidied up and transformed. Call us at 303-475-9601 to schedule your free estimate or visit rollemoutshelves.com to view our gallery of projects. You will get so many great ideas for your own kitchen, bathroom, or any other cabinet space in your home. Contact us today. You'll be so glad you did.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles. Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. Here's the deal. The pain in your back, your knees, your shoulders, it can be now treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologics, growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff. It's right here. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here, this modern day joint pain solutions. You can get lasting joint pain relief, no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've heard or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back again. Take action now. A free consultation, powerful, effective joint pain treatment, natural biologics are right here. So call QC Kinetics now, 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986.
Hi, George Brockler here with 710 KNUS. Littleton Jewelers custom design and artistry is exceptional. There is nowhere else in Denver that you can get the customer focus on your experience, creating the rare and unique piece as special as someone who will wear it. Littleton Jewelry is the premier choice for custom jewelry design. Their capabilities really are endless, and you receive a lifetime warranty with any custom piece. Littleton Jewelry is located on Santa Fe, just south of Hudson Gardens. Look for the jewelry repair sign. Visit littletonfinejewelry.com. Tell them George sent you.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Nancy Sinatra's Sugartown will remind me of Saul Goodman. Better Call Saul. Some of you who watch will completely concur. Let's see. I don't think we have enough time, and we may. Ezequiel Gomez, 33. Sergio Casimiro Mejia, 24. Susana Garcia, 23. Olivia Talamantes, 29. Jonathan Valdivia III, 19. Fabian Varela Castillo, 28. Jonathan Beeza Delgado, 29. Karina Carbajal, 25. Diana Laura Gauchin, 19. Felix Lopez, 34. And Debbie Rachel Valdivia. Oh, boy. I wonder if she's related to Jonathan. She's 22. Those 11, including 5 women, they have been indicted in connection with an auto theft ring that allegedly stole more than $3 million in vehicles and other property from February 4th, 2021 to, well, just about 9 days ago. That's one little group. And for anybody, because I always tell you the truth, if anybody feels like, oh, you're just picking on the Hispanics, I didn't arrest them. Any kind of connection you want to make, that's on you. Blame the grand jury for indictments handed up. Prosecutors said the defendants stole guns, trailers, and at least 130 vehicles. They're accused of stealing identities to finance their methamphetamine, heroin, and fentanyl addictions, according to Kragatha Beth and her Denver District Attorney's Office. The grand jury indicted the defendants on 74 charges Some of the charges included first-degree assault, first-degree motor vehicle theft, cyber crimes, identity theft, and vehicular assault. Of course, as we have to say, all of them are innocent until proven guilty. I wonder of all 11, as we speak, how many are still in the slammer? Any of them get a PR bond? Oh, I promise I'm only 19. I'll come back. Just, they operated and stored the vehicles not only at the defendants' homes, but a place called The Ranch in unincorporated Adams County, that according to the indictment. It's a problem. Whether it's beautiful snow and you like it because maybe, you're snuggled up with your sweetie, or, you're going to go to the Black Eyed Pea and get the food to go and you'll get some comfort food in you tonight. Yeah, there's always going to be somewhere where you can just have maybe tunnel vision or the blinders on, and boy, it sure is pretty. You see, on this program, we talk reality. And the reality is, well, you may not get involved in any kind of nefarious bad actor activity the next time you go down to downtown Denver. You just have to ask yourself this question: are you willing to roll the dice? That say you go to the next Rockies game. Oh, by the way, this may be information that you may not actually know right now. We go to the second newsroom. It is hard to believe, but officially, the Colorado Rockies New York Mets baseball game has been postponed this evening in downtown Denver and Decay in Lodo due to weather. Just thought I'd let you know that. Just in case you were by chance heading to the old ballpark. Turn right around. Be happy that at least your car will still be in your possession. Again, any of the when and where will there be in Colorado? How about the greater metro area? Will there be someone who runs for some elected office that just uses this as the platform? I know I punked some of you. I know I really pissed off a lot of you when I said on April Fools I was running for Denver mayor. But I'm telling you, if I were to run for Denver mayor or anything else, no holds barred. All you would have to do to, be a Democrat that I would love to have on this program is just have that be your platform. The only one. Roe v. Wade, keep that in D.C. and to the Supreme Court. You talk here about crime and you make it a priority and you make it the thesis statement for you running for office, your ass is going to get elected. You can take that advice for free. We have one more hour together. I'll look back at all of the audio from this week and our film coming up, Tremors. Did you watch with us? I hope you did. We'll have clips, trivia, and more. Stay with us. News is next.
The Western Conservative Summit is one of the largest annual gatherings of conservatives in the Western United States. I'm Jeff Hunt. Join us June 3rd and 4th at the Gaylord Rockies Resort in Denver, Colorado.
This year's summit features former Trump press secretaries Kayleigh McEnany, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, and just added Betsy DeVos, Matt Walsh, and Tulsi Gabbard. Get tickets today at 710knus.com.
We'll see you at the summit.
Hi, folks. Dan Cicchini. Oh, my gosh. How can it be that we started Done Right Home Improvements way back in 1985 already? How could it be that 3 of our grandkids are now working in the business? Geez, we didn't have grandkids back then. And to think that we've designed, built, and installed tens of thousands of projects, how can that be, Todd?
Dad, it's the things you've always taught us. Do good work, show up on time, price fairly, and above all, keep your promises. Our performance speaks for itself. Whether it's kitchens, baths, counters, or floors, or even replacement windows and doors, they have our word. We'll treat them right at Done Right.
You betcha, Todd. And with the weather like it is and today's incentives, that's right, incentives, now is the time to call and save a full 12% off all services for select install dates. 303-722-2295, 800-362-8370, or drhi.com. 303-722-2295.
Hello, Colorado. It's mowing season. If you live in, near, or around Castle Rock, there's a place for you to get your mowers, trimmers, and other power equipment serviced and running great. Small Engine Masters in Castle Rock can make your equipment run better than it did when it was new. They can work on just about every kind of power equipment out there. So protect your investment. Small Engine Masters will sharpen your mower blade for free. Limit one set per customer. So come on down and see them today at 1577 Park Street or call them at 720-301-8141 or go to smallenginemasters.com.
Fact: our bodies are under attack every day. Whether it's COVID, vaccines, the air we breathe, the water we drink, and even the food we eat, we are constantly trying to keep up with the Colorado weather, fighting off stress and inflammation. But there's a solution. C60 Complete. C60 Complete is a scientist-formulated, doctor-approved antioxidant supplement that helps you achieve a longer, healthier, and happier life. Do what I'm doing to improve my health and go to purebellavita.com. That's purebellavita.com to get your monthly supply today.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station. News Talk 710, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Get tickets online at 710knus.com.
Traffic is still tied up on the south end, I-25 northbound towards Spruce Mountain. It looks like a single car collision into the center divider. And both I-25 north and south, it's going to be crowded through downtown, overcoming the weather. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Their hiring platform lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all in one place. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's a snowy 34 degrees. The heaviest snow arrives tonight across the state. We could get some snow bands with 1 to 2 inches of snow per hour. This will create some difficult driving conditions. Denver International Airport has not recorded accumulation from the storm as of so far this evening, but as of 5 p.m., FlightAware was reporting 74 delays at DIA, so check your schedule. The state is offering 2 companies more than $2 million in incentives to locate to the Denver area. The state's Economic Development Commission decided to approve nearly $1.3 million in job growth tax credits for an unidentified European company that hopes to mine near-Earth space asteroids. The companies combined could create up to 550 new jobs, paying over $100,000 in annual salary. This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com. A Louisiana judge is keeping his injunction in place for Title 42, the policy that has been used nearly 2 million times to deny migrants from seeking asylum in the U.S. due to COVID restrictions. If the injunction was lifted, the Biden administration was expected to end it at any time. At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial gained 8 points to close at 31,261. The S&P added a fraction of a point to end at 39,01. And the NASDAQ lost 33 points to 11,354. Wake up with George Brockler weekday mornings from 6 to 10 only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservatives.
Winter storm warnings in effect until noon tomorrow. We're also under a freeze warning tonight. Tonight, snow likely, heavy at times, areas of fog, lows in the upper 20s. Lingering snow Saturday with maybe even a couple of thunderstorms, highs upper 30s to near 40. Likely freezing temperatures in the upper 20s and low 30s with lingering showers Saturday night. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day 710 KNUS.
Portions of the following program have been pre-recorded. A longtime newsman with an opinion. A proud dad. A longtime newsman with an opinion. A proud dad. An American. Supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Don't forget, wake up with Randy Corcoran, 9 to noon tomorrow. And then, of course, before that, our friend who is out with yet another column today. You can see that in the Denver Gazette, talking about the Vanessa Wilson, Danielle Jurinsky, Robin Nicetta, Aurora Gate story. Jimmy Sangenberger tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., right ahead of Randy. Glad you were with us. Welcome to those of you who have figured out that we are, I'm not lying, that we are live simulcast on our 710 KNUS YouTube channel. Hello, friends. And thank you for watching that way. The website, of course, and the app. You can listen to live streaming audio no matter where you are. Welcome to you, if that's the way you're listening, wherever you are tonight, at least evening in Denver, Colorado, USA. And, of course, our number, 303-696-1971. I mentioned it earlier in the program. I'll probably just mention it again. The president with, let's see, within, well, probably now, we have across all 50 states, and Washington, D.C., the most expensive gas prices in United States history. We've got the stock market has just gone down the toilet. If you don't need to access it, yeah, it's only quote unquote a paper loss, but the Dow was down today, up today, but it was down most of the day. Not a very big gain, but it was in green, up about 9 points. The NASDAQ fell another 34 points. S&P 500 was up just half of a point. But you've got recession and inflation and baby formula where you had to invoke the Defense Production Act. I just call me crazy. I don't care if something has been on the books and you've had your hotel rooms reserved, etc., for months. Can you act presidential here? Can you do something about our problems here? The president is nowhere close to the White House. He's overseas.
The strategy so far has been to say we are open. The United States is open to talks, direct talks, in fact, with North Korea, but there hasn't been any bite or the North Koreans have not bid on that offer. As far as how this trip could impact it, it just sort of depends on North Korea's actions at this point. If they do something provocative, that would have a dampening effect. On the other hand, it's not like there's a positive, healthy diplomatic relationship between the U.S. and North Korea right now.
Well, don't worry. Biden is not in North Korea. He's in South Korea. He's also in Asia. He will travel to Japan because right now I'm sure that is a pressing trip that he needs to make. Oh, and then there's a little kerfuffle apparently within the Secret Service. Come on, guys.
The Secret Service is calling it an off-duty incident after sources tell CBS News one of the two got into a physical altercation with a local taxi driver on their way back from bar hopping Thursday night ahead of the president's arrival in Seoul. Police were called, but no one was detained or charged. The two were returned to the U.S. amid an investigation into their behavior in the suspected alcohol-related incident.
Obama's Secret Service guys, some of them had some problems. Some of you may recall back in the day. But let's just not dwell on, to me right now, was this really important? Is there some summit of the blah, blah, blah that he has to go to? I don't even think there's a summit. And even if there is, how about working on some problems here? He made it to Buffalo, didn't he? Just in time from earlier this week. Never did make it to Boulder for the Colorado supermarket massacre. We talked about that earlier this week. I also ask why the president's wife, the first lady, or FLOTUS, Dr. Jill Biden. Why in the world are we paying right now for First Lady Jill Biden to visit Central America on a Latin American tour? Why? Why? I'd say the same thing. I swear. I don't know why we've got to be taxpayer-funded trips for first ladies, Republican or Democrat, Melania Trump or Jill Biden. You tell me, what kind of diplomatic paving the way for what? What are you focusing on, doctor? I mean, I said this earlier in the program. Can one of these trips, I mean, what would be the smallest amount of money that it takes to take an entourage with even the first lady? 5 million? 10 million? I can guarantee you this. She didn't get her tickets on cheapcaribbeanvacations.com. I don't think they consulted with my friends at Highlands Ranch Travel. This probably cost a lot of money. You tell me why in one breath, she's just a teacher. And in another breath, she's right now, while the old man's across in Asia, the first lady is in Central America. The first lady, according to CNN, the first lady, Jill Biden, touts the U.S. commitment to South and Central America in Ecuador. It's just beyond. I don't know. And then there's the vice president, the border czar. The border czar continued this administration's, to me, the number one priority. It ain't curing cancer. Remember, he did say, you elect me, I'm going to cure cancer. Wonder how that's going. Maybe he needs a second term. The number one agenda, hidden, obvious, blatant, crammed down your throat, secretive, behind closed doors, is the Green New Deal, period. Well, who better to have than the cackler, Kamala Harris? Matt, I think we need to revisit. We used to have a cackle for the vice president. It used to be on our board. Maybe we can put it back. Today, well, looky here. You're so quick, Matt.
In San Francisco.
That's some scary stuff. You know what? Let's go back to the president. Why is he in Asia? Why is the first lady in Central America saying, we love you, we stand by you? Let's I believe we have on the news line. We've got now former White House press secretary, Jen Psaki. Jen, it's great to have you on. Thank you. I appreciate it. Big fans here in Denver. Can you explain why the first lady is in Central America right now and why President Biden is in Asia right now? Jen.
President Biden
Jen? I don't think she has an answer. Oh my goodness. So back to the Green New Deal, the cackler in chief, if you will, the vice president, Kamala Harris, she was there along with Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan, White House Infrastructure Coordinator Mitch Landrieu, former, I believe, mayor of NOLA. Oh, look who's in the background. It's that handsome little devil. He's so cute. It's Mayor Pete, everybody. Mayor Pete. So good to see Mayor Pete there. So you got the first lady. I mean, look who's in charge at the White House. It ain't Alexander Haig. I am in charge here now at the White House. In the early 80s, no. Biden's in South Korea. FLOTUS is in Ecuador. Holy macaroni. The highest ranking official in Washington, D.C. as we speak is, in fact, her. Wow. What did she do today? She represented the Biden administration in announcing that school districts around the country get rid of those diesel school buses. There are only 500,000 school buses estimated to be in use in this country. And, well, she touted today a $500 million slush fund for states, yes, like Colorado, to apply to turn those kid-killing diesel machines into clean energy school buses. Because these are the priorities. Right now, everything that concerns you as a United States citizen, friends, I'm sure the items included, the president better start talking with South Korea, and quickly. And after that, since he's, kind of next door, maybe he should go down there to Japan, because that's going to help you and me. Or you might be saying, I'm glad the First Lady, Doctor, I'm glad she's in Central America, making sure they know that we still like them. I wish I could do a Jill Biden impression. I can't, but did she say something to the effect of, you just keep on sending those folks. They don't belong in your country. You send them to us. We've always been the country that the streets are paved with gold in the Estados Unidos. Gracias. Adios. Because the First Lady and her trip to Central America costing God knows how much, that helps as we complain about how much a gallon of gas costs, or a supply chain issue that you haven't had. Say, there was a time, look, I'm going to give you way TMI. Matt, I don't even know I guarantee you don't know this. I am a big fan of the Rice Krispie treats. I may have them 2 times a year, but I had a hankering for some Rice Krispie treats, with some of you go old school and do it with the marshmallow, real marshmallows. Saying real and marshmallow, that's kind of funny, but I use the marshmallow cream. Well, when I had my hankering and I just happened to go to the store like the next day or the day after, out of Rice Krispies. This is the United States of America. We're out of Rice Krispies? But of all the things that ail you, just know that the vice president's in charge right now. She announced, along with cute Mayor Pete right there in the background, smiling. Can't wait to get to that baby and squeeze its little cheeks. They talked about getting rid of the children-killing, environmentally polluting diesel school buses. And the president's over there. Meanwhile, just, a little more than 24 hours ago, the United States Senate voted to send another $40 billion in Ukraine aid. Once again, I've said it several times this week. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. If you needed to send $60 billion, do it, as long as we don't have our men and women in the military with boots on the ground in some far-off land fighting some far-off war that has nothing to do with us. So I can't be a hypocrite. But I thought I would just inform you that not only do we have the auto theft problem in Colorado, but I see some problems that all have a common denominator, and that would be Washington, D.C. I just thought of something. We have been lax. I have been lax, and we are giving away right now, as we go to the break for traffic and weather. Caller number 7 will win 1 2-day pass to the Western Conservative Summit next month. 303-696-1971. Caller number 7. Or if you're with Dr. Jill Biden, you might want to say siete. Caller siete. At 303-696-1971, you will win a 2-day pass. They have got at the Western Conservative Summit out at the Gaylord this year. We'll be broadcasting live. They've got a terrific lineup of speakers, including a couple of the former White House press secretaries that were better than her.
President Biden.
Yeah. Also, 24 hours ago, we were talking with a caller named Mary. She was a very good caller. We replayed it. If by chance, maybe you just did not hear our program yesterday or were with us in the 3 o'clock hour, get to the podcast. You'll want to hear this as we talked about Oklahoma's soon to be signed into law, strictest anti-abortion bill anywhere in the country. Mary called in and really blew me away with her story. At the end of the conversation, putting it all together, 4 abortions in the 1960s, I believe. And certainly generated a lot of text messages here to the studio. So if you missed that, most certainly you can get that commercial free at the website. All right, be honest with me. Did you at any time this week, and especially maybe yesterday, did you have at any time your air conditioner on, whether in your vehicle or in your home? Is there a chance that maybe you put the heater or the seat warmer on today? It's that time of year. And yes, I did jinx it, and I apologize. I thought we'd seen enough or had enough, but this is the type of weather where you're using one day your AC, the next day your heater. You want to make sure that everything is in clean, optimal working order, and you can get that with our friends at 888 Heating and Air. They have an $88 performance check year round. They'll look at your AC, they'll look at your furnace. And right now, if that furnace is older, do you know that the older units are the ones that suck you dry? They absolutely suck you dry with energy, and don't you know it because you're paying the bill every month. Right now, 888 has a limited time offer of $2,088 off new AC and furnace installations. That could mean the purchase of a unit right now starts saving you money immediately. They only install American Standard units, the best in the industry at the best price. Visit 888heating.com. Easy scheduling. Check out their specials tab as well as the customer reviews. See what your fellow Radio Club members have to say about this great Colorado company. Been around for more than 2 decades, a family-owned and operated business by Garrett and his staff. Again, 888heating.com. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will take an audio look, as we do on Fridays, at some of the stories that made you happy, made you mad, made you angry, made you furious. Some of these stories and sound of the week. That comes up next on 710 KNUS. And remember, our Friday Homestretch film review film assignment of the week is Tremors. In fact, Matt, let's go to the break with a clip from 1990. Kevin Bacon and the late Fred Ward in Tremors. Even better, we'll do the trailer.
Perfection. A scorched outpost in the middle of nowhere.
You know how close I am to leaving this place right now? How close?
Maybe that's why Val and Earl decided to leave town.
Hey, hold up. That's Edgar Deans.
They just picked the wrong day to do it.
Jeez. You guys better get the hell out of here. There's a killer on the loose. Who could be doing it?
Is that a snake?
I'll give you boys $5 for this. 20.
That's how they get you. They're under the ground. What the hell are those things? After they eat a whole station wagon.
But where do they come from? I vote for outer space. No way these are local boys.
You see, they're headed right for us.
No Richter scale can measure it.
They're coming!
No scientist can explain it.
Bert, they're under the ground.
You didn't get penetration even with the Alpha gun.
Run, run!
And no one knows what to call it.
Megaworms or suckers or suckoids.
Now, this valley is just one long smorgasbord.
Now, it's up to Val and Earl to save the world.
That's one big mother.
Who died and made you Einstein?
And they know just what to do. Flip for it.
Damn.
Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Tremors.
Still working with an accident involving up to 5 vehicles. Hamden eastbound approaching University, slowing from Clarkson. And now it does look as though they did find that accident. It's at the ramp from Spruce Mountain Road, getting on to northbound I-25. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. Watch Dan Abrams live weeknights at 7 Mountain on the fastest growing cable news network in America, News Nation. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us for your TV provider.
Dennis Prager is not a fan.
You know, I've never called a president a bad name in my 40 years of broadcasting. We have a thug for a president. He's always been a thug. He's the most corrupt president in American history. He's the most dishonest. There has never been a president who so divided his people as Joe Biden.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sebastian Gorka at 1 on News Talk 710, KNUS.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing way up on that ladder? You're going to hurt yourself.
Oh, I'm trying to unclog these gutters.
That's smart. I had water damage from my gutters last year. It cost me $10,000.
Wait, $10,000?
Yeah, and from over here, it looks like water's been pouring over your clogged gutters, and it's probably doing real damage to your foundation. You need to do what I did. Get off the ladder and call Leaf Filter.
Yeah, but I need to get these gutters flowing now.
That's why you need to call Leaf Filter. They'll clean and realign your gutters and install their exclusive micro mesh screen system so nothing gets in your gutters except water.
So Leaf Filter protects my house from damage and means no more gutter cleaning for me?
Bingo! Plus, Leaf Filter has an industry-leading lifetime warranty, so your gutters are covered for life.
Thanks, Frank. I'm calling Leaf Filter today.
Don't go another day with your home unprotected. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com right now for an extra 15% savings. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com. That's 1-844-300-LEAF.
Hi, it's George Brockler here with 710 KNUS. A local jeweler you can trust is a little thing that's actually a big thing. That's why I use Littleton Jewelry. I love their focus on jewelry repair and maintenance. Inherit a box of jewelry, don't know what it's worth? Their team can quickly go through it and evaluate and tell you what you have on your hands. Buy and sell gold and silver at Littleton Jewelry. It's very simple and upfront. Littleton Jewelry is located at Santa Fe, just south of Hudson Gardens. Look for the jewelry repair sign. Visit littletonfinejewelry.com. Tell them George sent you.
This is Dan Kaplis. Obviously, I hope you never suffer a catastrophic injury. If God forbid you're ever in that situation, please know that big cases are usually fought at a very high level, and the quality of your counsel can make a life-saving, multi-million-dollar difference in the outcome of your case. Our track record in big cases speaks for itself. We're a serious firm for serious cases. We take righteous cases on a percentage fee basis. If you need our help, please give me a call at 303-770-5551 or hit dankaplis.com. That's dankaplis.com.
Dumb.
Stupid.
Stinks. In one word, would I use hope as a strategy? Nope. If you see your friends and family struggling financially, don't hope you'll be lucky. Text the word INVEST to the number 484848 to discover the strategies Wall Street uses every day for income in the stock market that are available to the public. Text the word INVEST to the number 484848 today to register for a free introductory class at Online Trading Academy.
Hear the latest reporting and analysis on the big stories of the day on the Daybreak Insider podcast. It's top-notch reporting from SRN News, along with the sharpest insight from Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, Dennis Prager, Sebastian Gorka, and the voices of townhall.com. The Daybreak Insider podcast. It's your first look at today's top stories. Available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
A former civilian double agent for the FBI says that Russia will ramp up its spy operations in the U.S. We'll have details in the next news update.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Again, Jimmy tomorrow starting at 6A, Randy tomorrow starting at 9A. And I believe it was Randy's promo. He was like, he's heard a lot last week. Not sure if you heard the in-studio guest that Randy Corcoran had, Dick Wadhams. they didn't exactly, well, they didn't obviously, kill each other, but they did not, I am pretty certain, exchange like bouquets of flowers. And so I think if I remember hearing Randy's promo, he is going to talk all about that. His guest last week, the former head of the GOP, longtime political insider and running many successful campaign. We are just about at the end of the program. Coming up next segment, as we always do, the Friday Homestretch film review as we head into the weekend. Our film this week, because, well, one of my faves, one of those kind of like, not an A like Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Clint Eastwood, but one of those, I'll call him a B, and that's with all due respect. The actor Fred Ward, who was a United States Air Force veteran. He's got one of those where, oh, I love that guy, but you may not know his name. Well, he passed away almost 2 weeks ago, and we got word a week ago today that he had passed. So in honor of him, we have from 1990, Tremors. And we'll get into that, clips trivia, and a lot more. Just went through the clips, and Matt's pulled some great ones. And I love that we had the one listener, Matt, earlier this week. I can't remember who, but he had said, oh my God, this is the greatest movie. I watch this all the time. And it's corny. It's cheesy if you watched it with us. But and then, of course, on Monday, we will give you a new film assignment. It's just our way of trying to be full of variety and give you something to do and connect with what we are doing on the program. One of the things that we're really happy to do is bring you the sounds of the week. And I'm really glad we've done this now for a couple of months and maybe skipped a Friday here or there just because we forgot, but we're not forgetting anymore. So sit back, relax. Some of the stories that you reacted to and we most certainly discussed on the program this week.
The sounds from the stories in the spotlight this week. Steffan's Friday Replay on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Now I'm gearing up, for war, like I said. And, what I just want to say is, we never know why things happen to us, right? And we know that God has a plan. And if that plan is for me to be the catalyst, the voice for any other parent, and I don't care if it's only one, but my guess is it's not.
If they want to quote that, the Aurora Sentinel, also known as Dave Perry's blog against Republicans, if you want to quote something, Chief Vanessa Wilson is trash.
Wow. Okay.
Here's Manson. Bennington's reset. Manson scores! Josh Manson wins game one.
Solemn moment for the president and first lady as they visited a makeshift memorial outside the Top supermarket. Paying their respects to the victims of the attack, the president stood at the site with his hand over his heart. He then made the sign of the cross before stepping back to allow a group that included New York Senator Chuck Schumer.
Equipment will you be sending first in those tranches?
So, as you know, there's a good chunk of this new supplemental that will go to Presidential Drawdown Authority, and the Congress added some additional money to that.
President Biden says his administration will report to the Senate the two countries' applications for quick approval.
They have the full, total, complete backing of the United States of America.
For the first time ever, gas prices now top $4 a gallon in every U.S. state. Prices in Georgia, Kansas, and Oklahoma were last to cross the mark. The average price for a gallon of regular is up about 4 cents from yesterday to $4.56.
If Trump were to return to the White House as president, and COVID is still a threat, or there's some other public health emergency, would you have confidence in his ability? Would you have confidence in his ability to deal with a pandemic of this nature? Would you want to stay on in your post?
Well, no. It's in the second.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS, though, is it? It's not.
Privileged to be here with you today to address your questions regarding unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAP. What are UAP? Put simply, UAP are airborne objects that, when encountered, cannot be immediately identified. However, it is the department's contention that by combining appropriately structured collected data with rigorous scientific analysis, any object that we encounter can likely be isolated, characterized, identified, and if necessary, mitigated.
What a big day for ufology today, right?
Yeah, I've never even heard ufology. I love that. Matt had told me that you watched the hearings today. Take all the time you need and give us your thoughts.
I did. First thing this morning. First of all, they moved it up an hour. So it was like quick last minute notice. Oh, it's on right now, which is interesting. Let's start with the good news. The good news is they're trying their best to remove the stigma of reporting these UAPs. I still like to call them UFOs.
Me too.
But, there's such a stigma with the tinfoil hat. They're trying to move away from the tinfoil hat, and that's good. And like I said, this hearing was wonderful for, awareness and removing stigma. That's the good news. Now,
I believe there's something else out there. I really do.
Is this something?
I'm not an abductee. I know you're going to make me into some tinfoil hat wearing redneck, but the reality is that, and I quote my Bible: "Profess yourself to be wise, you became a fool." And I just don't believe we have all the knowledge.
How about wreckage? Have we come across any wreckage of any kind of object that has now been examined by you?
The UAP task force doesn't have any wreckage that isn't explainable, that isn't consistent with being of terrestrial origin.
Do we have any sensors underwater to detect on submerged UAPs? Anything that is in the ocean or in the seas?
So I think that would be more appropriately addressed in closed session, sir.
Okay.
It's something
Basically,
to chew on.
sounds
Dan Gorski of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, has reached a milestone by eating 2 Big Macs a day every day for 50 years.
A lot of times people say, you look like I'm eating a Big Mac for the first time. And I guess that's how I feel sometimes. They're that good to me. And there's really nothing else I'd rather eat.
That's nearly 33,000 Big Macs. Gorski had his first Big Mac attack on May 17th, 1972.
To all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. To all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. You deserve a break today at McDonald's.
McDonald's Big Mac.
Corinne, congratulations. It's nice to see you up there.
Thank you.
The president's Twitter account posted the other day, you want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share.
Mm-hmm.
How does raising taxes on corporations reduce inflation?
So are you talking about a specific tweet?
He tweeted, you want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share.
Look, we have talked about this past year.
War. This now is war.
Derek, as you know, millions of people absorb this garbage on a regular basis on its program. Fox does nothing about it. They make millions of dollars off of it. We have not shied away from calling that out and calling Tucker out on this program because what he is doing is very dangerous. What do you think can be done about this? And what do you say to all of that?
Well, first of all, Fox News is funded through carriage fees from Comcast and other
all
platforms.
Americans to reject the lie. And I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit.
The Secret Service is calling it an off-duty incident after sources tell CBS News one of the two got into a physical altercation with a local taxi driver on their way back from bar hopping Thursday night ahead of the president's arrival in Seoul. Police were called, but no one was detained or charged. The two were returned to the U.S. amid an investigation into their behavior in the suspected alcohol-related incident.
President Biden.
Hi, good evening, Steffan. I struggled in making this call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because what I wanted to talk about was what was it like back then when Wade, when that legislation was passed. And people, I think, who are making decisions, they make it sound like it was so easy. And it was, they were not dealing with what it was back in that, which was in the 60s.
Starliner's already experienced more than 2 years of delays, costing Boeing around $600 million. The aerospace giant is hoping the third time will be the charm here. A successful mission could clear the way for Starliner to carry astronauts for the first time and get Boeing's space program back on track.
In 2014, NASA gave Boeing and SpaceX multi-billion-dollar contracts to develop new spacecraft that could fly American astronauts to the ISS, ending the dependence on Russia.
Control.
Newcomer
So
Elon Musk said SpaceX could do it for $2.6 billion. Boeing, the tried and true aerospace juggernaut, was awarded $4.2 billion.
All right, there you go. Just some of the sound that we talked about, interviews, sound that made me mad, you talked about. And, of course, the death earlier this week of Vangelis, the famous composer, Chariots of Fire, which won Best Picture. It became the #1 album with this music from, 1981?
News Talk 710. Update.
Our late May snowstorm falls just a few weeks before summer's official start date on June 21st. The summer solstice means it's officially summer, and it also means it's the longest day of the year for the Northern Hemisphere. But those high near-summer sun angles are playing a big role in our snowstorm. Roads have remained mostly wet around eastern Colorado, even as fairly heavy snow falls. That's thanks to the strong sun angle that's melting snow as it hits the warm ground, heated by both our warm temperatures from earlier this week and the high sun angle. If our storm were taking place in February or March, the sun angle would be much lower, likely increasing both snowfall totals and impacts to roads. So while it sure doesn't look like summer's on the way, the high sun angle that precedes next month's summer solstice is still making its presence felt. Texas Governor Greg Abbott called a judge's decision to keep Title 42 in place for the time being a positive development, but said hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants remain at the southern border ready to flood into Texas. The governor said Texas will continue utilizing all available resources and strategies to prevent mass illegal migration, including the deployment of the Texas Department of Public Safety and Texas National Guard. And as the war in Ukraine rages on, experts believe Russia will ramp up its spy operations in U.S. cities. A former civilian double agent for the FBI said that Seattle is a prime location for espionage to occur. The Seattle area is rich in technology firms, and Washington is home to several military bases and defense contractors like Boeing that may have valuable secrets. He believes Russia's emphasis and priority on collecting intelligence has only increased as a result of the Ukraine war. This report is sponsored by Allstate. Saving money feels pretty good. Allstate better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today. Richard Robertson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
This has been a problem for quite a while, clearing out an accident right now with a car facing the wrong direction, leaving Spruce Mountain, getting on to northbound I-25, and there is a collision at Tower and East 71st Avenue. I'm Karen Johnson.
This report is sponsored by Denver 7 News at 6 p.m. Expect more from your local news.
Denver 7 News at 6, it's local news done differently. Denver 7 360 reporting goes in depth on the issues that matter to you. Weeknights at 6, watch Denver 7 News.
Winter storm warnings in effect until noon tomorrow. We're also under a freeze warning tonight. Tonight, snow likely, heavy at times, areas of fog, lows in the upper 20s. Lingering snow Saturday with maybe even a couple of thunderstorms. Highs upper 30s to near 40. Likely freezing temperatures in the upper 20s and low 30s with lingering showers Saturday night. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day 710 KNUS.
This is Albert Mohler for townhall.com. Last week, the Democratic-led Senate forced a vote on a radical abortion bill, but the big story is what didn't happen. We're talking about the Women's Health Protection Act of 2022. The Democratic leadership claimed that this bill would codify Roe v. Wade. It actually would have gone even further. The legislation as proposed would have basically allowed for abortion all the way up until the moment of birth for any reason, or for that matter, for no reason at all. But the Senate vote to forward the bill was 49 to 51, falling far short of the 60 votes needed to advance. But what is notable, and what news media didn't really note, is that the proponents did not even gain a bare majority. What does that vote tell us? All but one Democrat voted for the bill, and not a single Republican voted for it. What does that tell you? It simply highlights that on the issue of abortion, we are now looking at a clear, predictable, unmistakable partisan divide.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, for those considering careers in politics and policy.
When severe weather strikes, the 710 KNUS Weather Center has the tools you need to survive the drive. Up-to-the-minute closings and cancellations, mobile alerts, extended traffic reports and weather updates. News Talk 710 Storm Center is a service of Colorado Flat Fee Realty, the full-service real estate firm. Pay less and keep more of your money. Online at ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Welcome to Mikasa.
Oh my, is that a Picasso?
No, don't touch
it's
it.
It's covering a hole in your wall.
Yeah, I had leaks, but the plumber who repiped doesn't do drywall.
It doesn't? Repipe specialists would have repiped and offered to fix the holes in your walls.
Got leaks? Repipe specialists will repipe your house in 1 or 2 days and offer to fix the drywall. Call 303-228-2540 for a free in-home estimate and pay nothing down and no payments or interest for a year. That's 303-228-2540 or visit repipe.com.
Don't miss 2,000 Mules, the new movie from Dinesh D'Souza.
What you're about to see is disturbing.
The truth behind the 2020 election conspiracy.
This mule went across 6 counties to 27 different drop boxes. In no way is that legal.
See the evidence for yourself.
No one has more data than we do.
What you showed is frightening.
This is organized crime.
2,000 Mules. Watch it or buy it today at salemnow.com. That's salemnow.com. Sponsored by Salem Media Group. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Finn Carter, Reba freaking McEntire, Michael Gross. He started filming this Tremors in 1990, the day after they wrapped up the final episode ever of Family Ties, and starring a whole lot more characters that were, how shall we say, expendable. It's the story of at least 4 gigantic people-eating worms. Tremors. From 1990. Matt, you had seen this before?
As with a lot of our picks, it's been a long time. I remember being pretty scared of this movie when I was a kid.
Right. From 1990, I was in college and I thought it was funny. I thought, you know what? I don't know if I want to go to the desert. We start the film again in honor of the late actor Fred Ward, who passed away within the last couple of weeks. Listen, friends, beware of the ground, beware of the desert, because you never know what's underneath. The program opens and you see this kind of Laurel and Hardy type relationship between Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward. It would be Val and Earl, their characters. Then they find, wait, who's that old guy? Is he drunk up on the power tower? He didn't make it.
Was it a heart attack, doctor?
No. Died of dehydration.
Thirst. Well, that doesn't make any sense. That takes a couple of days, doesn't it?
Maybe even 3 or 4.
You mean he sat up there 3 or 4 days? He sat up there and just died of thirst?
Yeah, well, he didn't want to be on the ground because of the man eating gigantic worms that, I tell you. Well, thank goodness there was, by the way, good old Rhonda, the college student out there doing some seismic activity reporting, et cetera. And then things just absolutely go haywire. And Val and Earl, they try to warn a road crew.
What? A murderer, man, a real psycho. He's cutting people's heads off. I'm not kidding. They're pulling our chain. Yeah.
Uh-oh. I probably don't have to tell you it did not end well for the road crew. Now, of course, at that moment of the film, they're like, somebody's out there. There is a killer on the loose. No, then they would slowly realize there is something underground. Put out by Universal Pictures in January of 1990. The film had a budget of $10 million. It was filmed primarily in Lone Pine, California. They built, in about 2 months, they built the little ghost town type little town, and then they tore it all down. There's nothing left of the movie near Lone Pine, which is on the eastern side of the Sierra Nevada. I had a $10 million budget. Now, they did okay. It took in almost $17 million. However, this thing became a classic when it hit, of all things, VHS and rentals and Blockbuster. And it has become, as mentioned, a cult classic of sorts. Now, in the film, Val and Earl, well, who else are you going to send for help? You know, the phone lines are down and nobody can really help them. They can't communicate via two-way because of the mountain range. So they get on horses and, well, they try to get help and they realize, oh, man, we got to be quick because there's stuff underneath the sand.
Okay, here's the plan. We don't even stop. We ride like hell. Tonight, we'll keep right on going. We'll walk the horses. That is the plan. I mean, God damn. What the hell are those things? How could they bury a whole station wagon? Why would they do it? Come on, get. Do it. Walker wouldn't know it's decent horse. He must have bit him in the ass. Wait a minute. They got wind of something they don't like. Yeah. What's going on here? I don't see anything. Anywhere. What's the neighbor?
Oh, poor horses. This is where we use a disclaimer. No animals are ever harmed in any film that we review. Powered by Danny Cash, Danny Cash Hot Sauce, DannyCash.com, hot sauce, barbecue sauce, merchandise, all-purpose seasonings, great merchandise. You can find them in the River Point Shopping Center in Sheridan at right near Santa Fe and Hamden. 25% off military discounts for active duty and veterans. And Danny was with us, a couple of Tuesdays ago, and loves to give back and loves being our presenting sponsor. There's also then, you kind of got to stay off the ground. So while there are rock formations, the world famous, no doubt, pole vaulting scene as they try to get to Rhonda's vehicle.
I think the first thing we got to do, see if old Stump is still out there. Can I borrow that shovel?
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a home to go to? That's why Edgar never got down off that damn tower.
I think I have an idea.
We're going to have to come up with some sort of plan. He's just going to wait us to death.
Yeah, well, I was
Why don't we
thinking
just make a run for it? We outran him yesterday. Run for it? Running's not a plan. Now, running's what you do when the plan fails. Valentine, you're not even trying to think of a plan. Well, it ain't like we got a hell of a lot of options.
Well, so they skip and hop over the rocks and they get to the car. And then, of course, they peel out. And apparently they only used the scenes that did not show one of the trucks because in a stunt, it was so badly damaged, they didn't want to include that in the final cut. And believe it or not, this kind of kooky, maybe PG-13 type film was originally rated R because of the F word. So they did redub. For example, Can you fly, sucker, instead of the F word, or we killed that mother humper. Then, did you notice if you watched with us? Who's the little girl on the pogo stick? Yep, you'll see her a few years later in Jurassic Park.
Now remember, no noise, no vibrations.
Get off your pogo stick. They can hear you.
Mindy, get off the pogo stick.
Oh, Mindy. And then, of course, Michael Gross as Bert and Reba as Heather. Bert and Heather, they are maybe survivalists. They have a lot of weaponry, you could say. Well, they get into it.
We don't see anything, Val. So what the hell are you talking about? Over.
Bert, they're under the ground. They're under the ground. They can dig like a big monster underground. Now get out. Hurry.
Let's just say in the rec room, well, they had an arsenal, didn't they? Then toward the end of the film, will they kill the remaining 3 gigantic man-eating, children-eating, women-eating worms? How about the part, by the way, where the woman, her husband, goes down and then she gets in the car and then the car gets swallowed up? I thought that was a very touching scene. Sad. They get the explosives, of course, from gun-toting Bert.
There's one. Straight out in front. See if we can keep him right there.
All right, how much we need? I don't know, but pretty quick. 15 seconds at least. What kind of fuse is that? Cannon fuse. What the hell you use it for?
A cannon. You guys watch yourselves. Right out there, about 30. Oh, man, you're not going to do your lasso thing.
Just because you're no good with a rope.
All right, get back.
Good, yeah.
Come on, baby.
Take the bait. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
No, and then there are guts flying everywhere. Oh, boy.
Wait.
He's got one more. One more bomb.
Falling for it.
It's a smart worm.
This one ain't dumb. He's trying to trick us. Use your bomb. It's our last one. Well, what else you gonna use it for? So what if we make it to the rocks? We'll be dead in 3 days anyway. Well, I want to live for the 3 days.
Rest in peace, Fred Ward. The good guys in the end use the final bomb, and it does, in fact, explode. Sponsored by Danny Cash, Danny Cash Hot Sauce, DannyCash.com. Matthew, how many bottles of hot sauce do you give Tremors from 1990?
I can see it's why it's a cult classic. I got to give it an 8.
All right, an 8. And I concur with you. I will also give it 8 bottles out of 10 of Danny Cash Hot Sauce. Outstanding week, Matt. Thank you for producer Matt Steinkruger. Richard in the newsroom. Steffan Tubbs saying have a safe rest of your night, especially in this weather. God willing, we'll talk to you 3:03 on Monday. Stay safe and healthy. And remember our troops. Good night.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles here to remind you to be sure to